Okay, guys, we are going to be reacting to some Dark Souls lore today. We're just going to wait a little bit longer, see if anybody else wants to hop in. What's up, Tommy? What's up, John? Welcome to the lore reaction stream. Now, I'm going to do something a little different today. I know a lot of you guys reacted to a lot of whatever his name is, the largest Dark Souls lore guy, Vaidi or whatever it is. I tried not to look up that guy because he's so well known, so I decided to look into this other one they're not at 1 million subscribers yet. They're the Brothers Code. So we're going to react to their video today of at least the first Dark Souls. It keeps it within the first Dark Souls. It doesn't bleed off into the second one or the third one, I don't believe. Did a little bit of research on that. I also tried to find someone's channel who was even lesser than like 100,000 subscribers, but I found a few, but they kind of go into the second one and the third one, combine it all. Today, I just want to focus on the first Dark Souls and really hammer down on the lore in the first game to really figure out what all is going on in that world, because I do love the game. I'd had a lot of fun, but maybe today we'll learn a little bit more about Solaire and why he is the way that he is. What's up, Akami? Welcome to the stream. All right. And we are live. Beautiful. Beautiful. We are live. So here we go. This is my screen. We're going to be reacting to the Brothers Code today. I put it on 1.5 speed as well. I guess they talk pretty slow, someone was telling me. So this will at least speed it up a little bit. It's over 2 hours long, so there's plenty of time for us to talk about, you know, speculations, theories, whatever you guys want to talk about. This is the freedom to do that and to let me know your thoughts on things, all of that stuff. And also, since this is a reaction video, I'm going to be pausing a lot, okay? Just for YouTube's guidelines and all of that stuff. I do not want to get flagged for anything crazy, any copyright or anything like that. I don't think that'll happen, but the 1.5 speed should help, and all the pausing should help as well. But we're going to jump in here. 1 second. What did John say? John says, I am now thinking about the meta here. Bass is watching a video for reactions, and we are watching Bass and reacting. You're absolutely right. And the reason Vaidi is so high up on because he's been doing it forever, since Demon Souls. Yeah, I understand that. But I wanted to give someone who's a smaller YouTuber a chance to shine here. I'm not a big YouTuber by any means, but it might lead you to these guys for some more lore if you guys want to learn about some different games and stuff and the background in them. But anyway, we're going to jump in here with Chapter 1, Age of Ancients. Spoiler alert, anybody who doesn't want any spoilers, do not watch this video or this live stream, please. Here we go. Age of Ancients. Chapter 1.
In the Age of Ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog, a land of great crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. A concise yet effective way to describe the world prior to the introduction of fire. A monotone world of dread and anguish, one that is void of any essence of life. The Age of Ancients was ruled by powerful, everlasting dragons, known to possess impenetrable armor in the form of stone scales, which provided the dragons with immortality. The dragons ruled over all that resided in the Ashen Land, and they did so peacefully, as the truth is, there was no opposition. The world was stagnant. Some may describe it as inanimate, as no life could be found, nothing lived nor died. There was no progress or conflict. The world simply existed. For the longest time, life remained nothing more.
Yeah, I think I kept it at like a higher speed because this might help with, let's do it at 125. How about that? Slightly higher, not double. But so far from that, we understand the dragons were first. I think I gathered that from playing the game. It kind of talked about that slightly in some of the things that we read about on different items and whatnot. But apparently the dragons were first. And then nothing else was alive. So that's what we're getting here. So they are the ancients. Right. Now, why did we kill them all? What's up, Yvette? Welcome to the stream. And yeah, that's not the normal video. I put it at the playback speed. Was at 1.5, but we're going to go for 125. So it's a little slower. I just Don't want to get flagged for this, that's why I'm doing that.
In a shade of grey, a dull existence with no hope or purpose, until one day a miraculous event took place, one that would change the course of time and usher in a new age that would collapse the rules of the old world and create a perpetual conflict that would last until the end of time. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity, heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. From far within the deepest cavern known to Earth, fire ignited, forming the first flame, and with it introducing life to a world stripped of it.
Okay, so we learned that from, you know, in the beginning, that's pretty much the intro of the game. So in the deep, deep, dark depths of the earth was the first flame, and I guess that's where we, the hollow, or the hollows came from, right? Or like the humans, or whatever in the world. Am I understanding that right? Like I said, I'm going to be pausing a lot probably throughout this video.
Yearning for warmth, four primitive creatures began revealing themselves, emerging from the
pygmies,
underground caves
right?
that they called home. They were drawn towards the flame, urging them to travel to the origin of the fire. To their surprise, from within the kiln of the first flame, emerged souls of lords. Extremely powerful souls that granted those who harbored them immense power. The beings decided to possess the souls themselves. One of the souls was claimed by Nito.
Yep.
His soul turned him into the representation of sickness and death, rearranging his form into a combination of skeletons held together. Nito is referred to as the first of the dead. This hints at the possibility of Nito being the first creature to experience death, as before.
So, could he be considered like the first pygmy then? I mean, they're saying that he's the first creature to experience death, but could he be the first pygmy? Is that what we're thinking? What's up, Ducks? Welcome to the stream, man. And this is neither of those. This is the brothers. What is their name? The Brothers Code. I decided to try and find the smallest lore YouTuber I could find on just Dark Souls 1. So yeah, we're watching the Brothers Code's lore video today, and yeah, gonna give them a little. Maybe you guys can go head over there and learn some stuff from them. I just didn't want to use a super large YouTuber, you know. I didn't want to use someone like those other guys that you guys were wanting me to react to. You gotta give some love to the smaller creators, you know.
Before the igniting of the flame, nothing lived or died. Nito's soul states the following: Grave Lord Nito administers the death of all manner of beings. The power of his soul is so great that it satiates the Lord Vessel, despite the fact that much of its energy has already been offered to death. The description of the soul indicates that Nito's only purpose is to administer death to the world. He is the balance put in place to complement the creation of life, as without death, there is no value to life.
That's true.
The second soul was claimed by the Witch of
Okay, so Nito, we need to talk about him for a second. So the only reason he exists is literally to cause death. And he being the first one to die. Okay. Okay, I kind of knew that as well. We knew that. What are you guys saying? The Dark Soul is what spawned the pygmy, which then spawned humanity. The Dark Soul is that. Okay. That's what the Dark Soul is. Okay, so that got you. And then Hackshaw has like a 12-hour long Dark Souls lore video. Pfft, I ain't got 12 hours. This guy's over 2 hours long, and we're putting him at 1.25 speed, so it speeds it up a little bit and also helps me with the copyright flagging. All right. Just imagine Nito as the soul of death. So like the Grim Reaper. Okay. And then Quinn, the soul of light, Izalith, the soul of chaos, and the soul of the dark as the pygmy. Gotcha. All right. Well, let's hop back in.
Izalith, and was split with her 7 daughters of chaos. The third soul was taken by Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight. When he found the Lord Soul, Gwyn's legion of knights were present. This indicates that Gwyn likely held power before obtaining the Lord Soul, although it's unclear what power or influence one would have under the rule of dragons.
Exactly.
However,
Like,
now with the Lord Soul at Gwyn's disposal, he would wield the power of generating lightning, something that would prove useful at a later point. The fourth and final soul was the Dark Soul, which was obtained by the furtive pygmy, who is described as a primeval human, likely the ancestor to the humans we know today, the progenitor to the human race. His Lord Soul was a small black ember, distinctly different from the other Lord Souls, and the pygmy ensured that the existence of the soul remained unknown to others. The Dark Soul granted the pygmy the ability to fragment it, and use its capabilities to create humanity. This black sprite...
Interesting. Okay, so that's kind of what you were talking about, Tommy, there. Okay. The pygmy is kind of how humanity came to be. Gwyn was apparently there during the dragon's reign. Does anybody have a theory on that? Like, if dragons were at the beginning, before there was life, like he was explaining, and I guess as it's explained here, then how was Gwyn? Is Gwyn a freaking dragon? Now, he can't be a dragon. I mean, he's some sort of lord. So, I don't wrap my brain around that. You made cookies, Ducks? That's good. I wish I had some cookies. I want some cookies. I'm having coffee. Just coffee.
Right is called humanity, but little is known about its true nature. If the soul is the source of all life, then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves? The description of humanity questions its unclear nature and confirms the soul to be the source of life, rather than humanity itself. This aligns with the fact that every being from lords to demons have souls. However, not all beings possess humanity.
Yeah.
With this knowledge, we can assume that although the soul is what grants life, humans possess both the soul and humanity, giving them a unique identity, separating them from all beings in existence. Whilst the gods depend on the first flame for power, humans inherit power from the consumption of humanity, signified by the reversing of a person's hollow stature back to human form. The power of humanity is fueled by the willpower and perseverance of the being possessing it. It empowers those who refuse to give up. The subdued nature of its power is why humanity was overlooked by the lords, as they desired quantifiable power, something that they could possess instantly. Humanity was passed down to the descendants of the furtive pygmy, and helped shape humans into what they are now. The furtive pygmy is theorized to be Manus, father of the abyss, and forefather to the human species. Manus raised humanity in the depth of the abyss, a realm of darkness, one only inhabitable to humans.
And I mean, that makes sense, since that was the DLC and everything. We got to see all of those Dark Souls down there and everything. So that's... And he's in the depths. I mean, it's the abyss. So I imagine that's where, like, deep down, he's talking about where all the freaking... The first pygmy arose and everything like that. Okay, so I didn't quite know that whenever I played the game. Manus being the first, or theorized as the first pygmy. And people may have told me that, but I may have forgotten. So it was an age of gray. There was still lords and primeval man, but they were under the dragons and couldn't rise to power. Then they found the souls, which allowed them to rise to power. Okay, so the dragons were kind of like tyrants in a way then. I mean, they were ruling over the land, but they weren't allowing anybody to basically rise up or make their own kind of thing. Also, it's super confusing. I won't understand it all, even after 2 hours. Oh, that's great. Well, I want an idea. I already have, like, I guess an idea. I'm hoping to learn a little bit about Solaire in this, where he comes into play. Because Solaire can shoot lightning bolts just like Gwyn. So he's a warrior of sunlight. Was he alive, like, when the dragons were going on? I don't know. I don't know. All right, let's go.
As beings who are aligned with fire, including the gods, are vulnerable to being corrupted and require specific equipment to prevent them from succumbing to the physical and spiritual corruption of the abyss. This brings humanity closer to the dark, rooting their essence in the abyss, whilst the lords strive for light, as the flame is what grants them power. Now that Nito has acquired the soul of death, the Witch of Izalith the soul of life, and Gwyn the soul of light, the three would possess the power to bring change to the world, as they no longer needed to live under the rule of the dragons. They knew that if they could cooperate with one another and use their newly found abilities to fight for the same cause, they could overthrow the dragons and become the new rulers of the Ashen world. And thus preparations began, and war was imminent. Once they were ready, the three lords waged war on the dragons. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters weaved deadly firestorms that would incinerate the lands. Gwyn would project his mighty lightning bolts towards the dragons, piercing their scales and sending them spiraling towards the ground. And Nito would deliver the killing blow by unleashing a miasma of death and disease upon them. Alongside Gwyn were his 4 trusted knights, one of which was Knight Artorias, who was the commander of Lord Gwyn's army.
We know about him.
As described by his wolf ring, Artorias had an unbendable will of steel and was unmatched with a greatsword. Also involved in the war was Hawkeye Goth, who later details his experience fighting in the battle against the dragons. According to the Hawk Ring, Goth was the leader of the Great Archers, and his abilities with a great bow were unmatched.
I do remember kind of like talking to him for a minute, and I did gather from this giant when we went through the DLC that he is and was from that time period whenever they overthrew the dragons and stuff. But it's interesting how the giant... He still had his sanity and everything, whereas Artorias was consumed by the abyss. Gwyn, I guess, was consumed by the dark, I guess. I'm sure we'll learn about that here shortly. Sorry for all the pausing, but I have to do it. It's just... And talk. So I'm not... It's not like YouTube thinks I'm stealing footage from, you know, somebody's video. So I'm even going to close out here. YouTube, I'm not stealing, I promise. Just trying to speculate here. All right, Tommy. So Warriors of Sunlight worship Gwyn, which allows them to tap into the miracle of summoning lightning, but Solaire, or what he can do, absolutely pales in comparison to the Lord of Sunlight. But Solaire is freaking strong as hell, dude. But I get it. You know, that's understandable. He also uses lightning bolt called Sunlight Spear, which is the closest thing to the original bolt humans can use. Okay. All right. Tommy, says again, oh, I could tell you all about Gwyn, but comes in Dark Souls 3. See, that's, okay. Yeah, we're going to keep it in one today. What's up, Nas? Welcome to the stream. We're just reacting to some lore from the channel The Brothers Code. Not a huge Dark Souls lore channel. Let's continue here. We just learned that the giant was there from the beginning whenever they decided to fight the dragons, which we already knew about when we played the game. So he's telling us a lot already, a lot of what I already know. So, or kind of know, at least.
Taking down high-flying dragons, allowing Artorias and his allies to slay the dragons from the ground. Gwyn's third knight was Dragon Slayer Ornstein, who was believed to be the captain of the four knights.
I love that guy.
To Ornstein's armor description. The Hornet Ring reveals that the...
Now we just need to learn how Ornstein and Smo got together and decided to bro slam me, okay? I do know from you guys, whenever we were playing through this, gave me some lore about Smo. He apparently was an executioner. I want to learn more about him. Hopefully he touches on both him and Ornstein a little bit in this, because that was one of my favorite fights in Dark Souls 1. That was a lot of fun. And then Nash says, looking forward to seeing the reaction of the Elden Ring lore with over a 13-hour video. No splitting video into parts. Yeah, dude. If that's what we want to do, we want to commit to a 13-hour long stream, we can do that. As hopefully I don't get flagged by freaking YouTube. That's why I also don't want to use a larger YouTuber. I might get a copyright strike on my channel, and then we wouldn't have a Bass channel, you know? So I gotta be careful. Not much of a reactor here.
Final knight was Lord's Blade Kieran, who was notorious for using a dagger to lay waste to Lord Gwyn's enemies. The unsung heroes of the war were the humans, who fought as the Ring Knights. The Dragon Head Shield description reveals that the Ring Knights, by command of the gods, stood amongst the ranks who set out to slay the dragons, but their contributions were never lauded. This indicates that the Ring Knights were never honored for their allegiance, and their involvement was kept undisclosed. They were also tasked with forging...
Okay, so I guess he is going to bleed a little bit into the other games here and there just to cover who's who. I really thought it was just about Dark Souls 1, but apparently I was wrong. But that's okay. If he has to bleed a little bit into each, not specifically talking about each game and its lore, and it just ties back into the first one, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But if it's like really going into Dark Souls 2 and 3 lore, then we might have to be like, okay, I gotta find something else. Hopefully not. I don't know. I don't want to... I'm already spoiled. I've played the games. I might as well just, you know, absorb what we got here. Yeah, I mentioned the Ring City, which was like, yeah, that's in the third one. That's, yep. And then John says, you would need me to start at 8 a.m. EST. Bro, that is like... That's like 3 a.m. for me, I think. Somewhere around there.
Armor and weapons
My
to
time.
aid in the battle, as explained by the Ring Knight set, stating, the armor of early men was forged in the Abyss. Although for the longest time, the
Hints
warriors
back to
spoken
Manus.
of were known to be the only ones who fought in the war against the dragons. The truth would later be revealed, showing that history had been rewritten, unfolding that there was indeed another warrior involved, one that had been unspoken of for many years, the warrior being Gwyn's firstborn son, the Nameless King.
Okay, so that's what I wasn't sure of. I thought that when we played through Dark Souls 3, I didn't realize that this was Gwyn's son. I thought it was like, I don't know, a reincarnation of Gwyn himself or something, or almost like we were playing a memory of Gwyn. So that's his son. The Nameless King is the son of Gwyn. Okay. Tail Rider, war heroes don't get the respect that they deserve. Where have you heard that before? Well, I'm reading some of the chat here. Nass says, the Hornet Ring, it seems like Dark Souls copied Silk Song. Right.
The Ring of the Sun's Firstborn states the following: the Sun's Firstborn was once a god of war, until he was stripped of his stature as punishment for his foolishness. No wonder his very name slipped from the annals of history. This tells the story of Gwyn's eldest son being present in the war. The fact that he's described as a god of war indicates how truly masterful he was in battle. The Dragon Slayer sword spear describes him as a deific hunter of dragons, further amplifying his abilities. With all that being said, what could have possibly happened to wipe this warrior's name from history, denoting him to a failure who...
Well, before he tells us why, I mean, when we fought him in the boss arena, he was riding a daggum dragon, okay? He was riding a dragon, so I have a feeling that maybe he swapped sides. Maybe that's why that they tried to erase him from the annals of history or whatever. That's what I would think, and maybe some of you guys already told me that in the comments of previous videos, but I think that's why he was pretty much wiped away from... pretty much everywhere. But I do like that in Dark Souls 1, it kind of hints at the Nameless King. That must have been a big deal for a lot of you lore junkies back in the day, like when they released that guy in Dark Souls 3 when that came out. That must have been really cool. All right.
His name is forgotten, hence why he is known as the Nameless King. The soul of the Nameless King reveals that he sacrificed everything to ally himself with the ancient dragons.
Well, there you go.
Explaining that his betrayal of his father
yep, he just explained
in all his accolades being stripped from him. The Lightning Storm description reads, once a slayer of dragons, the former king and war god tamed a storm drake, on which he led a lifetime of battle. This statement reveals that after taming the storm drake, the Nameless King made the decision to side with the dragons, and leave behind his reputation and all the goodwill that he had obtained over the years. The once revered and respected warrior turned into a nameless being, whose existence may as well have never taken place. The Nameless King was not the sole traitor of his kind, as during the battle with the dragon...
But like, that's the thing, right? Maybe he'll go into it. Maybe we have to look up some more lore videos. Why was it straight up like Toothless, where he found the pale drake or whatever and was like, you got a soul, you're a good dragon, I'm going to swap sides now? Is it totally like, is it like How to Train Your Dragon with the Nameless King? Like, that's what it's seeming like, because it didn't really explain in those lore items that he just read about why he did what he did. He just started riding on a pale drake, swap sides. So maybe that'll be explained to us here in a minute. What are you saying, Nas? The description of Gwyn's son's ring is similar to the description of Fararm's armor, the best armor in Dark Souls 2, which you used much of the game. Complements the description of the Nameless King's armor. Okay. Similar description. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Yes, it was, oh Lord, when you finally met Nameless King, you went crazy, Tommy? Okay, so Tommy was on board with that. He was a lore scrapper. He was looking, paying attention.
A betrayal that took place that would tip the scales in favor of the Lords.
And we got
the dragons were
Seathless.
betrayed by one of their very own,
Yeah.
Seath the Scaleless.
Yep, Seathless.
Seath was different from the other dragons. As stated by his name, he had no scales, and this likely enabled him to be envious and resentful towards other dragons.
That makes sense.
He may have even been treated differently, and thus when the chance presented itself, he took liberty in turning against his own kind, siding with the Lords instead. Another reason for his betrayal is Gwyn's promise of giving Seath control over the archives, which is described as having a trove of precious tomes and letters. This would appeal to
That might appeal to Seath, right? You know, him betraying his own kind and just be given, you know, the tower of the archive or whatever, but that still just doesn't seem worth it, man. Like, your entire kind, he must have been freaking resentful of himself after betraying his own kind, I would think. There are theories that the Nameless King left and ended up becoming a god of war in Fararm. It's also said that he got tired of senselessly killing the dragons, then he saved Oni and, well, left. Interesting. So nobody knows really for sure. It's just speculation. Come on, From Software, drop a game that gives us the answers. But it's kind of cool that they'd leave theories to the fans to kind of decipher and figure out from just items in the world. I know somebody stated too that, like, why are we watching a lore video when everything is explained in items that you can find in the world? We don't, you know, maybe one day, 15 years from now, I can read every single item from that game, you know, and really piece it together myself, but no, we don't have time for that. Not right now. I just want an idea. And then, so the community theorizes that Fararm is his name. So Fararm. Okay. Seath the Scaleless was jealous of the fact that he wasn't immortal, and he actually wasn't resentful of himself, he just wanted immortality. So you're saying that Seath was not immortal before? Oh my goodness, John dropping the memberships. Thanks for helping me get my oatmeal. Okay, we're hopping back in.
Seath, as the Moonlight Greatsword informs that Seath is the grandfather of sorcery, and this sword is imbued with his magic, which shall be unleashed as a wave of moonlight. Having access to the archives would grant Seath the ability to further study sorcery, broadening his knowledge on the subject. Seath would put his sorcery to use in the battle by using weapons such as the soul arrows, which are effective against iron armor, tough scales, and other physically resilient materials,
Interesting.
making them perfect for piercing dragons' scales. Soon after, the dragons could fight no longer, and although they weren't made extinct, the majority of them were killed, and therefore the reign of dragons had come to an end, paving the way to the rise of gods and the age of fire.
Huh. Just for the sake of YouTube, I'm probably going to not make it full screen. I'll just react from it from here. So we're in the age of fire now. All right. Well, let me back. What did you say there for a second? One second.
Archives would grant Seath the ability to further study sorcery, broadening his knowledge on the subject. Seath would put his sorcery to use in the battle by using weapons such as the soul arrows, which are effective against iron armor, tough scales, and other physically resilient materials,
Which is
making
wild.
them perfect for
See,
piercing
that's what I'm
dragons'
saying.
scales.
Magic is
Soon
cheating.
after, the dragons could fight no longer, and although they weren't made extinct, the majority of them were killed, and therefore the reign of dragons had come to an end,
Was
paving
over.
the way to the rise of
Yep.
gods and the age of fire.
Age of Fire. Okay. Which is when Gwyn and all his peeps ruled over. Chapter 2. Okay. Okay.
Following their victory, Gwyn, Nito, and the Witch of Izalith inherited the world left behind by the dragons. Nito descended into the catacombs and slumbered within the Tomb of the Giants, where he continued to administer death by using the energy of the Lord Soul. Those who worship the Grave Lord would travel to his tomb and become Grave Lord servants, aiding Nito in administering death in all parts of the world. By using an Eye of Death, the dreadful Eyes of Death spread disaster across neighboring worlds. Phantoms lured to the host world may end up as victims, allowing the Eyes of Death to multiply and leading to further proliferation of Bane.
See, that's interesting, right? That's interesting that he talks about the phantoms lured to the host world from other worlds, meaning that there are just different dimensions and stuff. In theory, meaning that Elden Ring, the world of Elden Ring, could just be another dimension outside of Dark Souls, so in a sense, they could be connected? Is that a possible theory? Probably not, but what are you guys saying? Tommy says, but he wasn't immortal because he lacked the stone scales of his brethren, which is why he was jealous. So the scales make you immortal? Interesting. Or it just makes it to where, like, you know, weapons bounce off your scales. The dragons are already immortal, and Scale was just weak, and Seath was just weak because he didn't have scales. What's up, Pirate? Welcome to the stream, man. I've learned a lot about what we already know. I already know some of the things. I mean, like Nito is pretty much, you know, being the Grave Lord. He's the Grim Reaper. And I just learned that I guess he could just have followers of him help him out. He had little helpers to help him bring death around the world, which kind of is like a stab in the back to like Gwyn and the Witch of Izalith, right? Because, you know, I don't know if they want to die. I don't know. Yeah, that's a lot of memberships. Holy crap. Thanks, but you don't have to do that, John. I appreciate it. Nas. In fact, there's a theory that you've seen vaguely that 3 of Elden Ring's endings give rise to the worlds of Bloodborne, Dark Souls, and Demon Souls. See, that would be an interesting video to watch. Like, kind of how they're all similarly connected. Because it would make sense, because in the DLC of this game, Dark Souls 1, there's literally a Bloodborne dude in the DLC. Like, he's from that game, like his getup and everything. It can't just be an Easter egg. So there's got to be different dimensions, and summoning these phantoms lured to the host world or whatever. All of From Software games, they got to be connected, man. That would be so cool if there was just like a truth, like he came out with the truth, Miyazaki or something, was just like, yep, they're all connected. you guys all figured it out. Pirate, if I consider Nightreign to be canon, alternate reality, Dark Souls and Elden Ring are connected. Yeah, I don't know, but Nightreign does have a lot of the bosses from the different Souls games, so that would be an interesting take. Yes, the lightning was that they used peeled off the scales of the dragons to be able to kill them, which was a secret Seath told to Gwyn. Okay, yep. And on, speaking of Demon Souls, Nas, that's coming. I have Demon Souls, I have the disc, I just need a PlayStation 3, and then I'll be able to be playing that legitimately. The original Demon Souls, not the new remaster. All right, hop back into it.
The eye summons evil spirits into various locations to inflict death to its residents, in addition to luring the residents back to the Gravelord's servants, who are tasked with killing the victims and bringing their eyes of death to Nito. This is further explained by the Gravelord's sword dance miracle, which states, Nito sleeps deep within the giant catacombs, quietly overseeing all death, and awaiting for his servants to usher in the eye of death. Triumphant against the dragons, Gwyn became the king of Lordran and lived alongside his clan of gods in the city of Anor Londo. They continued hunting descendants of the dragons to ensure that they remained feeble in a world of gods.
All right, so pretty much Nito just, as we found him, stays in his grave down in the catacombs and just has his followers just bring him the eyes of death, which is interesting. He just was like, bring me all of it, until we came down there and beat his little booty cheeks. And then Gwyn, yeah, just kept hunting down the dragons. That's why we see all the trophies and stuff in the castle. It's just kind of sad, really. I mean, yeah, the dragons were reigning over and they weren't letting anybody rise up and stuff. But at a certain point, would they really rebel? Do you really have to hunt them down to extinction? I think that's quite not very cash money, because I like dragons, you know. Obviously, a lot of them were a bunch of turd munchers in the game, but that's because, well, we provoked them. What are you guys saying? What's up, Siren? Welcome to the stream. How you doing? We've learned a little bit here and there. Some stuff I already know. Just explained, but... And then Tommy asked, why do I not want to play the remaster? Well, for one, I don't have a PlayStation 5, and that's expensive. And two, I feel like I owe it to people who played the original Demon Souls, nostalgia-wise, to play the original. And holy crap, guys, y'all keep dropping memberships. I appreciate it, but I've got to read the chat. I keep scrolling past all the chats. Hold up. Okay. Trilogy, because he made a deal with Gwyn of the territory, and for that Nito never spread death to the... Okay, so he never spread death to the gods. Right. Okay, so Nito... So what? Nito was just killing, like, the men and stuff? Did he also, like, get eyes from the dragons that they were killing or something? Is that a thing? All right. Well, maybe he'll tell us. Let's continue.
Allowing the lords to develop their powers through practice. Gwyn was generous with his gifts to the majority of those who fought alongside him, but not so much for humanity, who we already know had never been credited for their involvement in the war.
Okay.
Gwyn's attempt to reward...
Okay, so that's explained. So humanity is separate. Okay, now I'm getting it. Now, okay. I'm a little slow. Sorry, you guys know this. I'm thick-brained. All right, humanity is separate as the pygmies. That's probably who Nito was just gathering souls from. That was just explained to us, kind of. Okay. What's up, Sater? Welcome to the stream. What's up, Christian? And Sater says Demon Souls before Dark Souls came out was a wild time. The servers were super active at that time. I bet that was hell, though, for invaders and stuff. I don't know. Can you invade people in Demon Souls? We're going to find out, probably. If I ever get a PlayStation 3, I'm working on getting that together for you guys. But, so pretty much... Somebody answer me this. Did Nito ever take the eyes from the dragons that Gwyn killed or anything like that? Was he ever offered, like, dragon eyes? Or was it just, like, the humanities people that were being offered up to him? Because that is kind of what I want to know. What are we learning, Rob? We're learning about Dark Souls 1, the lore in Dark Souls 1. I'm hoping to learn a little bit more about Solaire. So far, we know Nameless King. I mean, this was probably explained to me while I was playing, but the Nameless King is Gwyn's son, who we are speculating his real name could be Fararm. That may or may not be true. That might just be speculation. Hi, Mentally, what's up? As far as you remember, Nito is just most likely literally the first to die. He doesn't act like a Reaper. He is just dead. And Gwyn kind of doesn't vibe with stuff. I mean, yeah, but it just explained that he had followers that bring him back the eyes and stuff of humanity. So maybe he isn't like the Reaper. He looks like the Reaper, but maybe he just doesn't bring all that death like this guy's explaining. This is the Brothers Code. This is the channel I'm choosing to react to, by the way. So if you guys would be so kind, head over to that channel and give it some love if you want to learn about some lore and stuff. They're a smaller creator, other than the other ones you guys wanted me to react to. I wanted to give some love back to the smaller creators, you know, me being one. I'm very small. Pale Rider, invaders have always been a menace regardless of the game. Siren says she worked at GameStop when Demon's Souls came out. Wow, I bet that was a wild time. I freaking miss GameStop, man. Woo! I miss. And Demon's Souls PS3 servers are inactive. Well, that's freaking sad.
The Pygmies is one of trickery and betrayal.
I mean, sad, but also good.
Envoy banner. For the Pygmies who took the Dark Soul, the Great Lord gifted the Ringed City, an isolated place at World's End, and his beloved youngest daughter, promising her that he would come for her when the day came.
Wait. Let me back it up here. Hold up. Back it up. I'm going to rewatch this section here, but basically Gwyn's daughter was ruling over the Ring City, but he gave the Ring City to the Pygmies, the humanity.
Of those who fought alongside him, but not so much for humanity, who we already know had never been credited for their involvement in the war. Gwyn's attempt to reward the Pygmies is one of trickery and betrayal. According to the small envoy banner, for the Pygmies who took the Dark Soul, the Great Lord gifted the Ringed City, an isolated place at World's End, and his beloved youngest daughter, promising her that he would come for her when the day came.
But she never did.
The true intention of Gwyn's gift to humanity is to isolate them at World's End, and ensure that his youngest daughter Filianor would halt the flow of time, leaving them to exist in the past, and be forgotten by the world. Also
That's freaking terrible. Y'all probably explained that to me in the comments at one point, but like, what? Man, the gods sucked, man. I'm kind of glad we beat Gwyn's booty cheeks then. Holy cow, they just shafted us. Okay, Sater says, man, this game series means so much to you that you just got a Soulsborne tattoo. Oh, are you on the Discord, Sater? Are you the one that posted the Bloodborne tattoo? Is that the one that you got? Because if so, that was a sick tattoo that somebody posted on Discord. Tommy says Nito's soul was the soul of death. That doesn't make him a reaper, just means his soul is power over death, disease, sickness, spread disease amongst the dragons after when peeled them away of their scales. Okay, so he's not just in control of overall death. Okay, got you. Siren says it was a fun job until they started making changes. Ooh, changes. And thank you so much, Pirate, for dropping me $2, man. Thank you so much for my PS5 fund. Don't put it all in one place. Thank you so much. I just need I don't even know how much a PlayStation 5 is anymore. I just need probably like another $479 or something. But thanks so much. Gwyn is a terrible father and leader. Pale Rider said it straight. So far, that's what I'm gathering. And I'm over here thinking when I was playing through that Gwyn was the leader of light and stuff, but as it seems to unravel, he's not the Lord of Light. He's freaking Satan himself. Sater says he'll post it right now. Yeah, I'd love to see it, man. That would be sick. Gwyn is the worst father. Yep. All right, let's
Gwyn's
continue.
fear of humanity is the description of the Ringed Knight set, which reads, "The armor of early men was forged in the abyss, and betrays a smidgen of life. For this reason, the gods cast a seal of fire upon such armor and those who possessed them. A smidgen of life refers to the sprite of humanity within the pygmy, the power of the abyss, a source of strength that can only be utilized by humanity.
Okay.
And so it brought fear to the gods and threatened their reign, as humanity's existence is actively in conflict with the Age of Fire. The gods cast a seal of fire on the Ringed Knights, and likely the rest of humanity, branding them with a dark sign, which repressed their abilities. The dark..."
All right, well, that's kind of funny, isn't it? That's like every tyrannical lord ever, okay? Like, first of all, as it was stated previously, Gwyn, the Witches of Izalith, and Nito, and humanity, thank you very much, rose up to fight the dragons, the already over everyone tyrannical force at the time. They rose up, overpowered them, almost sent them to extinction, just to get in their same position and do the exact same thing the dragons were doing to humanity, because they didn't want to lose their rule, because they're freaking full of themselves and they want to live forever and all that stuff and never lose their reign. I think that is wild. I kind of gathered that throughout the games, but at the same time, this just kind of puts a period at the end of that sentence. Okay. Nice. All right. Can you put it in the Bass channel, Sater? Hold on. Let me look at my Discord. 1 second. I want to look at this tattoo really quick. I want to look at this tattoo really quick. Real time. Real time. What do we got? What do we got? Yeah, you are the one that posted it. Yeah. You posted that, I think a couple weeks ago. That's a sick tattoo, man. And it looks like it's a combined all the Souls games, right? Is that what it is? It looks like Bloodborne's in there. Maybe Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3 and 1. Did you combine them all into one? That's sick. That's awesome. Okay. And then Tommy says Gwyn is the absolute worst. If he doesn't get into it, tell you why he did what he did. It's all right. Okay. Trading one tyrant for another. That's the way of the world. Exactly, Pale Rider. So that's why this is a good story, because it's like, yeah, it's probably going to happen again.
Dark sign signifies an accursed undead. Those branded with it are reborn after death, but will one day lose their mind and go hollow. This decision is later revealed to have far-reaching consequences, ones that Gwyn could have never anticipated. But for now, the world belonged to the gods. Preceding Gwyn's betrayal of humanity, he rewarded Seath the Scaleless as promised. Seath was recognized for his efforts and was deemed a duke, granting him control over the archives. This was seen as distasteful by a close friend of Gwyn, called Havel, as he harbored immense hatred towards Seath. The Great Magic Barrier Miracle states, Havel the Rock, an old battlefield compatriot of Lord Gwyn, was the sworn enemy of Seath the Scaleless. He despised magic and made certain to devise means of counteraction.
That's exactly who we are. Okay? As a bonking build, we are Havel. Okay? I despise magical cheating with the bane of my existence, but when we inevitably play all the Dark Souls games again, I will be trying out the cheater build. Okay? But for now, I am Havel. I am a bonking build, and I am behind Havel. I totally trust that guy because he despises magic. And Seath is anything but bonking. He is just straight up magic. He was probably one of the easier fights in Dark Souls 1 if you just had the build for it, the bonkin build, which I think we fought him with Havel's armor, actually. And then Demon Souls is at the top. Okay. It looks really sick, Satyr. That's an awesome tattoo. Tommy says, Gwyn is what made hollows. Humans were never supposed to hollow until he branded them with the dark sign. Okay. Huh. You did post it. You feel like a dingus? Don't feel like a dingus, Satyr. It's okay. It's all right.
This statement suggests that Havel was loyal to Gwyn and fought alongside him during many battles, which further emphasizes the dislike Havel fostered towards Seath, leading him to fall out with his close friend Gwyn as a result of Seath being granted dukedom. As evidenced by the magic barrier, Havel took precaution by creating miracles that provide coating, which greatly boosts magic defense, assisting warriors who must face the magic, which Bishop Havel countered so proficiently. This allowed Havel to resist Seath's magic if they were to ever confront one another.
Not only did that armor resist Seath's magic, it also resisted Manus's magic as well when we went to go fight him. So that's interesting that ties together. I feel like when we go to play this again, knowing all this is going to help a ton with me making decisions. I definitely don't want the world to go back into fire and flame, I don't think, so far, from what I'm gathering. It's almost 3 months of work. Too many people. 1,400 paying, PS5. We'll be back later doing some WFH. All right, Pirate. Take care, man. I'll see you.
It is unclear if Havel despises Seath due to his hatred for magic, or if his hatred for magic stems from his dislike for Seath. However, what is made clear is that Havel distrusts Seath, and rightfully so, as he was a traitor of his own kind. What's to stop him from betraying Gwyn?
Exactly.
In addition to acquiring miracles, Havel wields a dragon tooth, presumably taken from one of the dragon corpses killed in the war. The tooth is described as a weapon created from an everlasting dragon tooth, legendary great hammer of Havel the Rock. The dragon tooth will never break, as it's harder than stone, and it grants its wielder resistance to magic and flame. In addition to this, Havel wore armor carved from solid rock. Its tremendous weight is matched only by the defense it provides. Due to the nature of his armor, he was known as Havel the Rock. At some point down the line, Gwyn decided—
Imagine how much Havel can both squat and bench. That guy has got to be the greatest power lifter of all time. Wow. Okay. So Havel despised Seath. I think I was told that whenever we were playing through our first time. He despises magic. It's a bonking build. I'm on his side for that. He's the Giga Chad of Dark Souls. You're absolutely right, Pale Rider. Let's hop back in.
Decided to lock Havel in the basement of a watchtower for no clear reason. The watchtower basement key reads, there are rumors of a hero turned hollow who was locked away by a dear friend, for his own good, of course.
Wait. So Havel was locked away in the tower by Gwyn? Is that what? Is that what that mean? That's that what that means? That's probably what he's going to explain. By the way, I'm Solito. Am I going to be watching any Vaidi videos? Maybe. I don't know. I wanted to give back to some smaller channels. I've stated that a few times in the stream so far. Vaidi has like been doing it forever apparently on these games. I just wanted to help out a smaller channel, given that I am a super small channel. Maybe let some people here go and check out the Brothers Code who we're watching right now, who we're reacting to right now. Tommy says, you think Havel's actually the strongest in all the Dark Souls, strength-wise? His weapon has the highest strength requirement, you remember. Oh, it was. We had to save up a lot of soulage to freaking use his entire build. I remember that. And then Tommy says, watch Vaidi on my own time to put together or stream the smaller ones. Yeah, I'll probably stream the smaller ones and just to kind of cohesively learn everything that I can for whenever we play next. I'm probably going to watch the bigger channels whenever I'm not streaming or recording or whatever. All right. It seems like Nas and Tommy are talking about PlayStation 5 still. They're still expensive here to me, Jose. Okay, I'm balling on a budget here. All right, let's learn some more. Did Gwyn lock away his dear friend Havel? That's what I'm thinking.
This references Havel being imprisoned by Gwyn and states that it was for his own good, as he had turned hollow. It is suggested that the description tells the story of what happened from the perspective of Gwyn, or at least tells the story in the way that Gwyn would have presented it, his once close friend, who conveniently turned hollow when he began to object to Gwyn's choices. It seems more likely that Havel possibly planned to confront his nemesis Seath once and for all, and was caught by Gwyn, who in return locked him away to rot in a basement of a watchtower.
That's what I was thinking.
A subsequent theory suggests that Havel was believed to be involved in the occult rebellion, which the effigy shield describes as an ill-fated plot to destroy the very gods. The reason that Havel is associated with the occult is because in Anor an occult club can be found beside the remainder of his armor, and as the Dark Ember puts it, occult weapons were used to hunt the gods, and are effective against their following and kin. Could it be that Havel had planned to overthrow the gods, resulting in Gwyn locking him away as a safety measure, or would it make more sense to assume that someone, presumably Seath, had falsely accused Havel of treason by placing an occult club amongst Havel's arsenal? Havel was most likely a threat to Seath, after all. A clear resolution is yet to be found, but based on Havel's years of loyalty and chivalrous behavior, it is rational to assume that he was wrongfully imprisoned and left alone in a cell for many years.
You know, that's what I was thinking happened. And, you know, Seath being the betrayer that he is, I have no doubt that he would throw someone under the bus, especially if they're a threat to himself. And that is screwed up that Gwyn would side with Seath over his, apparently, one of his best friends, Havel, one of his compatriots in battle against the dragons, and thinking that Havel was locked away even if he wasn't hollow yet in a tower for God knows how long. That is terrible. That is terrible. I am disliking Gwyn more and more as we go forward. I'm even disliking him more than Seath. Seath is a saint compared to the freaking Lord of Sunlight, apparently. Apparently, the God of Sunlight's freaking trash turd. Freaking trash panda.
Eventually losing his sanity and turning hollow. Many years later, the flame began to fade, threatening the reign of the Lords. As if the flame was to dissipate, their power would vanquish along with it.
Oh, how sad.
The Lords were desperate for a solution, a way to maintain the first flame and continue the Age of Gods. The Witch of Izalith, who at this point had settled with her daughters in the city of Izalith, was summoned by Gwyn to recreate the
and she became the worst boss in Dark Souls history.
First flame. As an attempt to avoid the dwindling of the fire, she managed to generate a new flame in Izalith. However, the fire grew uncontrollably, forming a flame of chaos, and neither the witch nor her daughters were capable of restraining it, growing to unprecedented proportions until the colossal flame devoured the witch. The flame used the Lord's soul to fuel itself and molded the witch's body into a seed bed, forming the bed of chaos, and mutating the occupants of the city into demons. Following the catastrophe that took place, Gwyn...
But how the heck does that happen? Why would you... It's interesting that it mutated them into demons. I thought the demons were just already down there, but or some variation of the dragons and then mutated into demons. Jesus. All right. What do you guys say? Jose says, I admit the first time around, Havel was scary, like the slow-moving corpses with armor and broken swords to a guy running in full armor and weapon bigger than him. Yeah, he was scary for me too. He's a bonking build and nearly smushed me the first time we met him. The brighter the light, the longer the shadow. Exactly. Pale Rider. Gwyn is the gift that keeps on giving. Something like that. And Sayer says, if I'm really wanting to get a PlayStation 5, you just keep an eye on the marketplace. You're willing to get that route? Well, like I said, I'm going to be trying to get a PlayStation 3. Maybe one day we'll get a PlayStation 5 if PlayStation games is something we continue to get into. I myself am an Xbox veteran, okay? I started with Xbox way back in the day and have stood by that company until as of late. And yeah, now I'm getting into PlayStation consoles and stuff and playing PlayStation games because I never got a chance to play some of those growing up. So maybe we'll get a PlayStation 5 one day. I don't know. But right now, I want to play Demon's Souls on the original PlayStation 3. Hopefully it doesn't break. We'll see. I have a PlayStation 4. Unfortunately, Demon's Souls doesn't port over to that, which sucks. And I could do it on PC, but I just something about playing it on console, man. I don't know. I like even though I never played it, it gives me that nostalgia playing it on console for some reason, just like Bloodborne on PlayStation 4. Ugh. Okay. Tommy says, she was trying to recreate the first flame, which gave birth to the flame of chaos, which did create life, but not the way that she wanted. Yeah, it created demons. Freaking demons, dude. Remember dealing with those things. And then, Jose says, you remember well what I said when I saw Havel? I said, oh God. Oh God. Yeah, I did. You want to see me play God of War, Tommy? Maybe one day. John says Uncharted. I know about Uncharted, never played it. Didn't even watch the movie because I didn't play the games. God of War, I've never played, but I remember seeing it on the shelves at the video store when I was renting movies and stuff back in the day. So maybe we'll check that out if a lot of them are on PlayStation 3. We'll see. We will see. Let's continue here.
Dispatched his Black Knight to eliminate the demons in Izalith. The Black Knight shield states, long ago, the Black Knights faced the Chaos Demons and were charred black. Due to his knights failing to defeat the demons, and the flame coming ever so close to extinguishing, Gwyn saw no other choice in sight but to depart from Anor Londo and reignite the flame himself, leaving his Silver Knights behind to protect the city in his absence. The Silver Knight set declares that when Gwyn departed to link the fire, his knights split into two groups. The Silver Knights remained in the Forsaken capital in service of their goddess, the goddess being Gwyn's second-born child, Guinevere, Princess of Sunlight. Before departing on his endeavor, Gwyn divided and gifted pieces of his Lord Soul to various beings, in order to have his powers exceeded by those around him following his sacrifice. The Great Lord Greatsword suggests that Gwyn divided that power amongst his children, and set off with only his Greatsword as his companion. The Soul of the Four Kings explains that Lord Gwyn recognized the foresight of these four great leaders of New Londo, and granted them their ranks, and the fragments of a great soul. The remaining piece of his soul was given to Seath, who was clearly a favored being amongst Gwyn's clan.
Yeah, but like, why? Like, I get it, like, he helped him, you know, take down the dragons and stuff, but the dude's a freaking traitor. Like, how do you favor Seath over your own gods or whatever? That just is wild. I mean, he's sending all the dragons to extinction. It just doesn't make sense to me. Also, how much time has freaking passed? Like, in the time that, like, you know, when we're playing the game as the Lone Knight, how much time has passed since freaking Gwyn left the capital and to go, you know, reignite the flame? Like, does it ever state that and I'm just forgetting? Because those knights have been guarding that castle for a hot minute then, if he's been gone for a while. Or maybe it was recent or something, I don't know. But Gwyn looked pretty messed up whenever we looked pretty hollow when we fought him, so I don't know. Then Akame wants me to play the Hollow Knight DLCs. That is on the list. I still have Hollow Knight downloaded. We're gonna be streaming that one day, but holy crap, I don't know if I'm gonna be ready for it. And then Tommy says, how much you love everyone talking today. Yeah, I love the chat going on, guys. I'm glad everyone's sharing their wisdom with me. I appreciate it a ton. Peter says they single-handedly made people quit Dark Souls 1, those damn archers. When the game came out, when you get a PlayStation 3, I could go get a release copy of Dark Souls 1 and play it unpatched. It would be wild. Yeah. If you guys would like to see that, maybe that's what we'll do in the future at some point on the channel here. Let's see. Okay, a few centuries at the very least, Pale Rider says. A few centuries. Okay, so Gwyn's been gone for a hot minute. Tommy says Gwyn's sacrifice was the first ending of the flame. Ours was the second. Then ages keep going as we keep restarting the fire in 2. Then in the final game, all the ages collide. Yeah, I picked that up from the last little bit when we fought Gale and all that everything was colliding. Okay. But a few centuries at the very least is when Gwyn left. Okay.
The soul of Seath the Scaleless reads that Seath was embraced by the royalty and given a fragment of a great soul. With his soul divided,
That just doesn't
Gwyn
make sense
entered the
to me.
kiln of the
Why?
first flame and sacrificed himself in favor of prolonging the flame's cycle, allowing the fire to engulf him and the Age of Gods to live on. Many of Gwyn's Black Knights ventured into the kiln alongside him, but as evidenced by the Black Knight set, were burned to ashes in the newly kindled flame, wandering the world as disembodied spirits ever after. Due to branding humanity with a dark sign, in addition to artificially prolonging the Age of Fire, a curse was released upon the world, the curse of the undead. Beings who die reawaken at bonfires, perpetually repeating the cycle of life and death until they eventually lose their sanity and become hollows. Reaching a state of being hollow is marked by the decaying of the body over time, and once a hollow is killed, they no longer reawaken, but remain permanently dead. This is the consequence of refusing to relinquish the Age of Fire and disallowing nature to take its course. The undead curse is the world's way of correcting the gods' wrongdoings and making way for the Age of Dark, an inevitable state of existence that will at some point take its course regardless of the number of times a light is rekindled. The gods did everything in their power to constrain the dark, from casting the seal of fire on humanity to sacrificing themselves to the flame, not knowing that their actions were futile and would only prolong the arrival of a predestined future, a future of darkness.
Well, there you go. That's kind of what Tommy was just saying there, that at the end of 3, everything collides. It's all inevitable. It doesn't matter how many times they reset it. So it's like they're doing the definition of insanity over and over again. So much so that even Gwyn went to go sacrifice himself just to keep it going. Just to keep their reign going. I mean, that's pretty selfish. I don't know. In my opinion, look from the outside looking in, that's pretty wild. I mean, I say pretty selfish. It's very selfish. But my goodness. And then the hollows are kind of the key to resetting things back into motion. Okay, I did know that. That made sense when I played through. Okay, continue here.
Once, the Lord of Light banished dark and all that stemmed from humanity, and then assumed a fleeting form. These are the roots of our world. Men are props in a state of life, and no matter how tender, how exquisite, the lie will remain a lie.
Aggressive. Tree stump from Dark Souls 2.
But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers, and man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark sign. The Age of Fire, although extended, grows weaker, and soon enough the darkness will cast its shadow over the world. With the curse of the undead harrowing the land of ancient lords, little remains but diminishing hope for the future. Here begins the tale of the chosen undead, who awakens in the Northern Undead Asylum, a prison where all undead beings are confined and left to rot until the end of time.
That's
Upon
freaking
awakening
terrible.
in
I
a cell,
remember that.
the chosen undead is rescued by a mysterious figure, who appears through a hole in the roof and drops a dungeon cell key attached to a corpse. The key reads, "A mysterious knight, without saying a word, shoved a corpse down into the cell, and on its person was this key."
Yeah, I accidentally murdered that guy in our first playthrough. That was a complete accident. I did not mean to do that. But, so basically, I did know that at the Northern Undead Asylum here is where all the undead go. I do remember that being explained to me. And we just are supposed to rot till the end of time. That's just why. And also, if we're inevitably going to end, wouldn't choosing dark be the bad way to go then? If it all just ends? Because it's a cycle, right? So it just restarts. The dragons like come back? Do the ancients come back after darkness happens and falls upon the world? Or is it like it's just everything's snuffed out and that's it? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. Tommy says, so that point, it's best to snuff the flame and starts the Age of Dark as the cycle intends. Yeah, that's what the cycle intends, but we would have the second sacrifice if we lit the flame. Some of us walked away. That's always the ending I always wanted to go with in the games. So just ending it no matter what. No, if it goes to the Age of Dark, that's the age of humanity. Darkness is the age of man. Okay, so the age of man. So the reign of gods would just be over. And they don't come back. It's just like we're on Earth time now, which is humanity. Okay. Age of Dark. It doesn't all just end. It's so hollows would be diminished and everything. If everything went dark, there would be no more hollowing, right? That's what I'm gathering. Quinn doesn't want humanity to take over, which is why he branded them with the dark sign. Yes, yes, gathered that. All right, let's continue.
Who was this knight, and what was his purpose? There may be no answer, but one must still forge ahead. As advised by the key, the chosen undead forges ahead, as they unlock the cell door and navigate the maze-like asylum.
This is making me want to play Dark Souls 1 again.
Second floor east key
Like
reads, the undead asylum is a giant undead prison, segmented by countless iron bars. Even if an undead were to escape from a cell, passage to the outside world would not be gained easily. A vague hint at a greater threat within the asylum. Soon after, the mysterious knight is found dying, appearing to have been hurled through the roof. The figure reveals himself to be Oscar, Knight of Astora. Oscar informs of a prophecy that references an undead being who will undertake a pilgrimage to ring the bells of awakening residing in Lordran, a crusade that will take place nearing the collapse of the Age of Fire and impact the state of the world.
R.I.P. Oscar, by the way. So sorry that we freaking schmacked him by accident.
Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringest the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
Oscar travels from the faraway land of Astora, a region known for its brave knights, aesthetic landscapes, as well as its masterful craftsmen, as evidenced by blacksmith Andre, who also originated in Astora. Oscar journeyed to Lordran with the goal of ringing the bells of awakening. However, due to his current predicament, he chooses to delegate his mission to the chosen undead, and provides them with an Estus flask to aid in the journey. Estus flasks are described as undead treasure.
See, I absolutely love this because we are just a random undead dude. Like, we're not some pivotal person or character, right? We're just some random undead rotting in a cell with some armor on. And then this guy Oscar's just kind of like, yeah, I'm freaking tired. Take this key, continue my mission for humanity. And meanwhile, I'm pretty sure I linked the flame and continued the reigns of the god in our playthrough, which I was being egged on about, but maybe we'll change that in our next playthrough. I don't know. But that's wild. So that's what I love about these games. You literally are just some random guy, random protagonist. You don't say nothing. You don't even talk back to the people that are talking to you. It's just like, here you go. Continue this, make a decision. Good luck. I love that.
They can be filled with Estus at a bonfire, which in return heals any wounds that the chosen undead may have suffered. Tasked with ringing the bells, the chosen undead leaves Oscar behind and continues to traverse the undead asylum until halted by the presence of an asylum demon.
Yeah, it's
the
freaking
creation
third
of this
muncher.
demon is likely a side effect of the Witch of Izalith attempting to duplicate the first flame, and was placed in the asylum to ensure that no undead is able to escape. A blockade of sorts for those brave enough to leave their cell. The demon's presence makes sense of why Oscar.
Meanwhile, we freaking snuffed that dude's flame out, easy peasy like, and still destroyed the Witches of Izalith.
Oscar was found dying, revealing that he had fought
Or the
the
beta
demon and
chaos
lost.
that took over the
demon's
witch.
great hammer states that the weapon is used by lesser demons at Northern Undead Asylum, implying that the Asylum demon is among the inferior ranks of demons, an indication of the challenges yet to come. Defeating the Asylum demon grants the chosen undead the Big Pilgrim's Key, which allows them to escape the prison and begin their quest. Exploring beyond the Asylum leads to the discovery of a giant crow, one of many ravens who are said to have once been Firelink messengers, guiding the undead to the land of ancient gods. Fulfilling its duty, the crow carries the chosen undead to Lordran.
Yeah, I totally thought this was just some random bird that just like tried to steal us for food or something and then just dropped us. I don't know. That's interesting to know that they were messengers. So their whole purpose is literally to bring people like me into Lordran to start our quest. That's literally their purpose. They're not just some random bird dropping us off. Gotcha. So does that mean that like the crows in the next few games, like the crow nests and stuff that we find, are they related to the messengers then, you think? Like I forgot their names, the sneaky or whatever it is, the little birds we give like freaking items to in the game. You think they're related to the messengers?
Delivering them to Firelink Shrine, a safe haven to all travelers passing through. On arrival, the chosen undead is greeted by a crestfallen warrior, and it's made apparent that this person is very well aware of the undead pilgrimage,
Very depressed.
likely to have assumed this task himself at some point in time. He informs the chosen undead that the first bell of awakening is located above the undead church, whilst the second is deep in the ruins of Blighttown. His posture, coupled with his dialogue, revealed that he had failed to ring the bells himself, and is now.
Yeah, by the way, this guy's a chump, okay? We just got here and we ran through everything. He just gave up. What a freaking turd ball.
Now a demoralized
Never
soul,
give up.
lingering around
Always
Firelink,
persevere.
watching those who pass by, with no real purpose. He is an example of a defeated soul, someone who couldn't persist, and was beaten down by the cruelty of the undead curse. A sign of his discouragement is shown when he states, "There's no salvation here, you'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum." The warrior follows
We should just kill him in our next playthrough, just right out of there. Just like, let me grant you some peace then. Whatcha?
up by asking about another occupant of Firelink Shrine, stating,
Oh, have you seen that terribly morose lass, the firekeeper? She's stuck keeping that bonfire lit. Sad, really. She's mute and bound to this forsaken place. They probably cut her tongue out back in her village, so that she'd never say any god's name in vain. How do these martyrs keep chugging along?
the person in question
See, that's interesting too. Like, yeah, I knew she was mute and her tongue was cut out, like he was saying. Like, we heard that, we read that from his dialogue when we were playing. But that actually makes complete sense, hearing him say that again, with what we know from this video already and after playing all of the games. Literally, the gods probably cut her tongue out because her whole role, the Firekeeper's role, is to, like, basically keep the flames lit, but at the same time not. I don't.
question is Anastasia of Astora, referred to as a firekeeper, someone who's committed to maintaining their respective bonfire. The firekeeper soul explains, each firekeeper is a corporeal manifestation of her bonfire, and a
Yeah, she's just there for freaking the humans, right? For ushering in humanity. She's there to just keep us going, which is why the gods probably despise them a ton.
draw for the humanity which is offered to
I understand
her.
that, right?
Her soul is gnawed by infinite humanity and can boost the
Yep.
power of the precious Estus flask. Anastasia's story proceeds beyond her sworn duty, as on several occasions she's referred to as impure, but the reasoning for such claims are never revealed. It could be related to why her tongue had been severed, possibly due to saying something that was perceived as impure, resulting in her punishment being the removal of her tongue. It appears that she had suffered further punishment, as she sports a blood-stained skirt, which can later be acquired. The description of the skirt reads, "It is thought to have once been the white skirt of a maiden, but its true origin is lost in patches of blood. Perhaps its former wearer was maimed to prevent escape." This statement reinforces that Anastasia was at some point tortured, having her legs impaired as to prevent her from walking, or rather escaping.
It's
What could she
freaking
have possibly
terrible.
done to justify such cruel punishment? Until this day, it remains a mystery.
Oh, we got ads, boys and girls. Gotta keep it real. So get the premium stuff. What are you saying, Writer? In the next playthrough, will I make it a randomized run? No, as I stated before, I'm gonna do what I sworn to never do. And I'm gonna try a cheater build. I'm gonna try be a magical cheater, even though I'm against them. I'm gonna see if it's any better than the night stuff. I'm probably gonna play like a bonking build, or at least try to, and it's gonna get me killed a lot, but I think we're gonna try to be a freaking magician and see if I like it. See if I like magic in Dark Souls 1. Well, we'll find out. Tommy says, so firekeepers are blind or mute because if they were to see the truth of the fire, they could help us snuff the flame out, and they see the truth of the flame. That in the end needs to go out. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, I understand that. That makes sense. Because then they could literally be like proclaiming to all humanity, like, guys, do not worship these freaking gods. They want to reign forever and keep us down.
Surveying the area surrounding Firelink Shrine reveals a man named Petrus of Thurland, an advocate for the Way of White, a religious covenant dedicated to hunting down the undead and kindling bonfires as a means of sustaining the Age of Fire. The head bishop of the Way of White is described by the White Seance Ring as an apostle to Allfather Lloyd, uncle to Lord Gwyn. This suggests that Allfather Lloyd was likely associated with the Way of White, although it's unclear if he was the founder of the organization. Following Gwyn's sacrifice, the Way of White was formed in service of the gods to ensure that the flame remains ignited and the gods preserve their power. The Covenant, along with Petrus, both come from the land of Thurland, which is known for its devotion towards Allfather Lloyd and the former Lord of Sunlight, Gwyn. Petrus is later joined by Rhea of Thurland, alongside her companions and bodyguards, Vince and Nico of Thurland.
The baby
Rhea
faces.
is the daughter of House of Thurland, making her royalty, but due to becoming undead, she was made to depart from her home and undergo the undead mission to restore her humanity once more. Rhea and her companions had travelled to Lordran to seek the rite of kindling, described as a sacred rite passed down among clerics, but all undead can imitate the process in the same manner that they restore their hollowing with humanity. Petrus is seen guiding Ria on her journey, and he appears to be friendly and accommodating at first. However, his presence permeates sinister overtones. For now, in pursuit of the first Bell of Awakening, the chosen undead relocate.
Yeah, so basically that guy is just trying to continue the flame, trying not to snuff out the flame as well. So he wants to continue the age of fire because they follow the gods. Okay, but wait a minute. So that's his goal, and that because since they're followers of the uncle of Gwyn. But you're saying that the lady that's royalty, she wants to just regain her humanity. So she's not into those guys, not into their beliefs, I guess. Okay. And then John says that's the most hated NPC. And then Tommy says, back to John, the community, but don't hate any of the NPCs in any of the games, even Patches. I love Patches, man. He's like my favorite character.
Locates to the Undead Burg, where they are met with another creation of the Witch of Izalith, the Taurus demon,
This
a
freaking
large
guy.
Minotaur-esque creature, wielding a weapon carved from the bones of other demons. The demon's great axe also implies that Taurus demons are lesser than their counterparts, indicating that once again, greater threats are yet to be uncovered. The chosen undead once more proves worthy, slaying the Taurus demon and marching forward towards their objective.
Oh, yeah.
Within the Undead Burg, various characters
Here,
can be
here's our
met,
boy.
one being Solaire of Astora,
Here's our
the warrior
boy.
of sunlight.
I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son.
Solaire
So the thing is, right, like I know I said Patches is my favorite character. He is. If not Patches, then it would be Solaire. But Solaire is so beloved by the community that he can't be my favorite because he's everybody's favorite. So Patches is my favorite. But Solaire is like, he is plated as like the best character in Dark Souls, okay, even in my opinion. But Patches is my favorite character aside from him. Yes, the most loved NPC right here, bro-ish.
is on a mission, determined to find his own son. The Sunlight Talisman describes Solaire as having unwavering faith, and his armor of the sun is marked with a large holy symbol of the sun, while powerless was painted by Solaire himself. Solaire states that he is an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight, Lord Gwyn himself, making sense of his motive to find his very own son. Conscious of the world nearing the end of an era, as darkness diminishes the light, Solaire aims to ally himself with other undead beings, and offers to help if he was ever to be called upon by the chosen undead.
Interesting.
The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. Both undead, both imprisoned in the asylum, and now we both end up here, in a land brimming with hollows. Could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey? We are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact.
So the thing is, like, when I was playing through this the first time, I think Solaire, like, his interaction was, like, the #1 thing that wanted to make me keep playing the game, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, it was a fun game, but having that little glimmer of hope that Solaire is, like, that everybody else is downtrodden, depressed, freaking over it, like, the gods are gonna reign forever, we're never gonna ring the bells, and humanity will never rise to power or anything like that, I guess. But there's Solaire persevering and having our back in some jolly cooperation, man. That made me want to continue to play the game, honestly, because I was like, there is hope. It's not all depressing. What's up, Jimbo? Welcome to the stream. Passing to say thank whoever gifted you the sub. You can thank John and Siren. They're the ones who've been dropping memberships left and right for peoples.
With that said, Solaire and the Chosen Undead go their separate ways for now, recommencing on their quests. This leads to the lower Undead Burg, where a sorcerer by the name of Griggs of Vinheim can be found trapped in a room. Vinheim was infamously known for its Dragon School, an organization that specializes in teaching sorcery. It is rumored that the school's name was inspired by none other than Seath the Scaleless. Freeing Griggs from the locked room reveals his armor to be the Black Sorcerer's set, which is described as an outfit worn by the secret sorcerers at Vinheim Dragon School. They secretly worked with sound-based spells and never reveal themselves.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's cool. What's up, Jimbo? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good today. We're just reacting to some lore on Dark Souls 1. I'm trying to absorb as much information as I can because this video or this stream really is well overdue. I've been meaning to really learn more about the Dark Souls games, given that they skyrocketed my channel back last year. So yeah, just trying to absorb and learn, and we're all hanging out, and you guys are passing along your wisdom about the games and stuff to me. So I'm just having fun here today. Having fun. Got my coffee. I'm happy.
This hints at Griggs being a prominent figure within the Vinheim Dragon School. Reaffirming this notion is his possession of the Great Soul.
They never reveal themselves, yet you find two of them. Maybe what they mean, Pale Rider, is like they never maybe reveal their true nature, maybe? You think that's what could be it, mayhaps? And then Nicola says, I am Gwen. All right. I'm terrible then. I'm a terrible human being then, or a terrible god, because if I'm Gwen. And then Jimbo says, nice. Dark Souls lore goes crazy. You know, you discovered me from those videos. Wow. Well, thanks for sticking around, man. And now you're a member. You get some early access stuff. And we're going to be playing back through the games eventually on the channel, just as kind of like a, you know, because they blew up the channel back in the day. So this is also for that. So that way, when I go back through the trilogy, I will be that much more encouraged to make certain decisions. Which so far, I do not want to rekindle the flame. I do not want to do that from what I've learned so far. Gwen is a complete a-hole, and I don't want anything to do with him.
Arrows, which read, at the Vinheim Dragon School, the acquisition of this spell marks an apprentice's coronation as a sorcerer. Griggs' main objective is to find his master, Big Hat Logan, and whether or not the two are reunited is dependent on the chosen undead's actions. If all of his sorceries are purchased, Griggs will travel into dangerous territory in search of his master, leading to him becoming hollow in Sen's fortress. Alternatively, disregarding his sorceries will lead to Griggs remaining in Filing Shrine, awaiting the day his master returns. Back to the lower undead berg.
You're playing Dark Souls, Tommy, while you're watching me learn about Dark Souls? It's the best day ever. Dude, you're making me want to play Dark Souls, man. This video is making me want to play Dark Souls 1 again. I love that game. The only thing I'm not going to like about replaying Dark Souls 1 is I have to be a cheater build. Not looking forward to that. Maybe there's a way to be like a paladin or something, so I don't have to be a straight up Hagrid, or not Hagrid, what am I talking about? A straight up Hogwarts genius or anything like that. I don't want to be a wizard with wizarding robes. I want to be kind of a knight, kind of a magic cheater. Maybe we'll do that. And not the pyromancers. That doesn't count. That's actually cool. Fires
through the narrow alleyway leads to the Capra Demon, another creature given life by the Flame of Izalith. This foe wields a demon great machete and is accompanied by multiple dogs, making them a nuisance to deal with. But nonetheless,
that's
the
true.
chosen undead overcomes the challenge and reaches the location of the undead church. Roaming the environment can lead to the discovery of Knights Lortrek of Karim, who can be seen locked in a cell on the top floor of the church. The people of Karim...
Yeah, people, whenever I was playing through this with the videos and everything, gave me the idea to actually end this guy because it gives you a really good ring. I did that off camera whenever I was playing through this series. Yeah, we ended him whenever he made it to like Firelink Shrine. We put this guy out of his misery and totally took that ring. But I know that he could invade you. They told me that prior, so he was already a bad guy. This guy's already a bad guy, so I didn't feel too bad. And then, what do you... Am I going to let members join and play with me in the second runs? Mayhaps. I would be down for that. It's all dependent on timing, though. That's the thing. Maybe if we stream it, you guys can join me and we'll play and stuff. But it all depends on timing and, you know, time zones and all that. But yeah, I'd be down for that. There's the Paladin set after beating Nito if I fought the Invader there. All right, Pale Rider, I will make a note of that. Okay, and he also kills the Firekeeper if I let him. I did. That's another thing that I was told in the comments, and I did not want that to happen because we need our Firekeeper lady. Okay. And then Seder says to go half intelligent, half strength build with all the weapon buffs, and you will say Dark Bead spells is OP. So keep that in mind as well.
similar to those of Thoroland, are worshippers of gods.
Maybe I could be a
Lordran
bonking build
himself being
and a
devoted
magical
to
cheater.
Fina, a goddess described by the Ring of Favor and Protection.
Yeah, the
as
Ring of
having
Favor, that's
fateful
what I
beauty.
wanted.
The Favor set states that Lordran believed in the goddess's love for him, but was this love truly reciprocated, or was Lordran disillusioned by his love for Fina? At this point, the chosen undead can choose to free Lordran, resulting in them being rewarded for their efforts. However, regardless of the chosen undead's intervention, Knight Lordran is able to break free from the cell and can later be found in Firelink Shrine.
Where I murked him.
Returning to Firelink at a later point in time, it is revealed that the bonfire had faded and the firekeeper Anastasia had been
that's what you
murdered by
guys
the
were
Knight
just
of Karim,
explaining.
Lordran. It is said that Lordran had forsaken his duties as a knight, leading to his appearance in Lordran. However, the mission he states that he's on remains speculatory. It can be surmised that his mission was to track down Anastasia and acquire her firekeeper soul, which would explain his actions. Using the Black Eye Orb, Lordran can be invaded in Orlando and found in possession of the firekeeper soul, curiously yet to have consumed it. Could it be that he had neglected to use it, or did he have other intentions with the soul? Nonetheless, the chosen undead defeats Lordran and uses the firekeeper soul to revive Anastasia, now with her tongue restored, while simultaneously reigniting the Firelink bonfire. Reaching the rooftop, the chosen undead.
Yeah, we may have to go along with that decision in the next playthrough as well. Just kind of do opposite things of what we did previously and just not let him out of his cell and then have us be invaded so we can actually, you know, grant her life again. But that will suck because, well, the main shrine will be shut down for a little bit until we beat his booty cheeks, but who knows? Maybe we'll do that. Yeah, you hate Lordran gang squad fight. Holder says, Holder 89. Yeah, does anybody know what his, I guess, mission was? This guy seems that it's in speculatory. Does anybody have any theories on what his true mission was with the Firekeeper Soul? I mean, maybe it's explained in other games and it's just not explained here in this game, but let me know if there's a reason for why he did that. Or what his reason was.
Gargoyles, safeguarding the passage to the top of the church, and rings the Bell of Awakening, successfully
Remember
completing
that?
the first task of the undead pilgrimage. Descending the undead church will lead to the discovery of Oswald of
This
Corinne,
freaking
a
guy.
pardoner who provides absolution for those who have sinned. Oswald's riddle-like dialogue warns of Petrus of Thoroland, stating the following.
Hast thou acquaintance with Petrus of Thoroland? I wager you two has likely found much in common. For is he not too drenched in sin?
Oh. Okay, so that's kind of like a foretelling that the guy's a freaking turd ball and we shouldn't trust him. Okay, but at the same time, we don't trust this guy. I don't know if any of you guys remember watching in my playthrough, but I think this guy gave us a jump scare whenever I came down from the ladder, because he just appears after you ring the bell. I think he gave me a jump scare because he's just like there with his arms wide open. But yeah, he just gave us, I guess, a hint not to trust the other chunky night boy because his actions are not of our own. But he's full of sins, apparently, because he betrays, I guess, his lady?
This warning implies that Petrus is a sinner, foreshadowing events that are yet to come. But for now, the chosen undead knows not to trust Petrus, however cordial he may appear. Travelling through the undead parish leads to the uncovery of a dark and deadly forest, known as the Darkroot Garden, home to the Forest Hunter Covenant, and Alvina of the Darkroot Wood.
Freaking cat.
I'm Alvina of the Darkroot Wood. I command a clan of hunters who track down defilers of the forest graves. What dost thou say? Wilt thou not join us?
Alvina offers the chosen undead to join her covenant, a group of hunters working in service of protecting the forest from invaders and ensuring that the graves are not meddled with. It is likely that Alvina is in some way connected to Knight Artorius and his companion Sif. To what extent is unclear, however. The legend of Artorius is revered by many, known as the Abyss Watcher, the saviour of Ulasil. What's the implication of Alvina referring to his legend as a mere fabrication? Although unknown for now, later revelations will bring clarity to such accusations. Another figure who can
So that's kind of honorable then, that Alvina. I thought she was kind of sketchy, but, you know, being a cat sounding like that. But I guess their whole job, the hunter's job, is just to keep people from meddling with the graves and stuff in this area and keep everything pristine and put together. So going back through, I will have a different thought of mind, I guess, or point of mind. Well, I can't even speak right now. Of going back through, I will be thinking differently again about Alvina and her hunters, I guess. And given that it's hinted that they're also protecting Artorias' grave, as well as Sif, which we sadly put down that poor pupper. I don't know if I want to do that in the next playthrough. That really hurt my heart when we did that. But anyway, hold on. Tommy says that he believes that Aldrich that night personally, that he was part of a group that wanted to snuff the fires out, so he was going around collecting Firekeeper souls to bring back to them. The group in 3 is what gives me the idea. So they just wanted to snuff the fires out, so keep humanity from rising up again. So also he's kind of allied with the gods. Is that what you're saying? But that's just your own personal theory. Haven't seen that anywhere. Well, that's a pretty good theory. I mean, what other reason would there to be to take Firekeeper souls? Is just to slow down the undead's progress. What's up, Option Delete? Welcome to stream. Just got off work. What's going on, man? We're just reacting to some lore video action here from a smaller channel, The Brothers Code. Check them out if you would like to learn some Dark Souls lore.
Can be found within the forest is Shiva of the East, a member of the Forest Hunter Covenant, distrusted by Alvina as she believes that he withholds self-serving desires beyond the Covenant's goals. Shiva had migrated from distant eastern lands, home to many assassins and swordsmen. The Shadow Set reveals that some eastern armor is crafted with espionage in mind for those who intend to remain incognito, whilst the Eastern Set is crafted for more traditional battles, with excellent defense against slash attacks. Shiva will...
Alright, so basically we should take out Shivo or whatever whenever we go back through our playthrough because he might be a spy and Alvina doesn't like him. More Shiva of the East, more like Shiva of the Deceased. That's a good one. That's a good one, Holder. Tommy says, yes, they are unforgiving, or unfortunately, I have to kill Sif to fight the 4 kings. That's so sad, man. That's like terrible. Why is that the option, the only option? I should be able to pet the doggy, be like, I respect your maker. I'm going to the DLC. I'm going to put him out of his misery. Then we can, you know, do what we got to do. But whatever. All right. Wait, hold on. Said if I do the DLC first before fighting Sif, Sif will remember me and howl at the moon in sadness before the fight. But I still have to fight the pupper. I don't like that.
Only appear if the chosen undead agrees to join the ranks of the Forest Hunters and would make a return in Blighttown, offering many exotic weapons for those willing to pay the price. Prior to this,
I didn't know
within
that.
the Darkroot Garden resides one of Seath the Scaleless's many creations, described as being imbued with a pure magic power. The creation in question being the Moonlit Butterfly, a hostile creature with extremely strong magical abilities. Logical considering, the creator is the grandfather of sorcery, though the Moonlit Butterfly lacks in any physical prowess, and can be defeated by the chosen undead with little effort. Treading along, the chosen undead crosses paths with Laurentius of the Great Swamp, dealing with the adversity of being trapped in a barrel. If Laurentius were to be freed, like many, he would later be found in Firelink's shrine. As evidenced by his name, Laurentius comes from the Great Swamp, described by the Pyromancer set as having rugged grasslands and treacherous swamps, a relentless place occupied by many pyromancers. Those originating from the Great Swamp often travel to Lordran, as in most regions, pyromancers are frowned upon. Lordran, however, respects those who indulge in pyromancy, as after all, Lordran is home to the godmother of pyromancy, the Witch of Izalith. Before each...
Why is it frowned upon that they practice pyromancy? Why is it frowned upon, though? I mean, if light is such a thing and flames being lit is such a thing that they want to keep going, why would that be frowned upon? Doesn't make any sense. Whatever.
Reaching Blighttown, the chosen undead can confront the gaping dragon,
the
located in a
gaping
large
dragon
chamber in the depths. This adversary is described as a distant, deformed descendant of the everlasting dragons. This is likely the result of the first flame being ignited, turning the dragon into an inferior being to those who came before. Once the fight is over, the chosen undead can head into Blighttown, said to be the location of
the worst area in the game, I will say. I mean, other than the Lost Izalith, I guess. Blighttown was truly what you guys were telling me when we were playing through. The bane of our existence. And the Blighttown they tried to recreate in Dark Souls 2 does not compare to this one, even though there was a bunch of toxic spitters everywhere. And then, yeah.
second Bell of Awakening. Whilst traversing the dark and complex pathways of the underground city, Quaylana of Izalith can be found, unexpectedly retaining her human form, unlike her mother and siblings, who to some extent
Became
were
freaking
transformed into
spiders.
demons. Prior to the catastrophe that took place in Izalith, Quaylana was an avid user of fire sorcery. She, along with her sisters, are recounted as flame witches. Following the consumption of Izalith, Quaylana fled the city, assuming that her mother and siblings had been killed, knowing little of the fact that they all survived.
Did we run into this chick when we played the game for the first time? I do not remember. Unless she was just an invader trying to end us. I don't remember talking to this lady. Maybe we did. It's been a little bit, but... So she's one of the witches. One of the daughters of chaos then, not... Okay. Gotcha. Okay. No, I didn't. Oh.
Following her escape from Izalith, Quaylana became the creator of pyromancy, possibly due to the trauma caused by the creation of the Chaos Flame. Opting to use a safer method
the T-Rex
instead,
chickens!
Quaylana shared her mastery of pyromancy with her student Solomon, who then passed the knowledge onto the people of the Great Swamp, explaining why many pyromancers originate from there. In a final plea to the chosen undead, Quaylana demands that they free the consumed souls of her mother and siblings by slaying what remains of their corrupted bodies, blissfully unaware that although formed into demons, their consciousness remains intact.
Oh shoot, that freaking this thing was one of the daughters? I didn't realize that. I thought it was just some demon down there. I didn't realize this was one of the daughters. The freaking mass or whatever that we fought. Huh. Didn't know that. I knew she was. I knew she was. But okay. Interesting. And there's like what? Was there like what? How many daughters of chaos were there? I think it showed in the beginning of the cutscenes or whatever, but...
And not in need of salvation. If the chosen undead chooses to acquire pyromancies from Quaylana and make a return to Firelink Shrine, Laurentius will question the chosen undead, asking them where they had obtained such power. If the answer is kept a secret, Laurentius will remain in Firelink. However, if informed, he will relocate to the Blighttown Swamp, where the daughter resides, in search of the power obtained by the chosen undead. Alas, Laurentius would later be seen, wandering Blighttown as a hollow,
yeah, and we would
that he had
fight
failed
him
on his quest
Yep,
of
I
obtaining
did.
further
I fought
power,
him. I
and had
remember
lost
that.
his sanity in the process. This sets in motion the chosen undead's meeting with the Chaos Witch Quaylag.
You're saying Ceaseless was their brother? Oh. Unpatched Izalith, in your opinion, was the top 5 worst places in Souls? Unpatched, huh? Maybe we can play the original on our PlayStation 3 that we get. I need to upgrade my Fire Hand to 10 in order to meet that sister? Oh. Well, shoot, maybe we need to go down the friggin' fire path. I think that it'll reveal in this how to save Solaire, since we're kind of talking more about the Lost Izalith right here. That's where Solaire kind of ends. We have to end him if we do his quest wrong, I guess. Hopefully he talks about that, how we can not do that, because I want to save Solaire as much as I can. Holy crap. Rampla says, why am I not checking out the new Warframe update right now? I don't know, because I wanted to react to some lore videos on Dark Souls. Tommy says, when you pick the clothes up, he thinks you're messing with her grave, so he attacks you. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
The soul of Quaylag confirms that she was once daughter of the Witch of Izalith,
Yeah,
but
look at
now a
that.
chaos demon, a victim to the manufactured flame that devoured Izalith. Failing to escape the city in time, she became corrupted by the fire, mutating into a part spider, part human creature. Although fused
Quite
with
confusing.
demons, Quaylag and her young sister,
Quite
the
a
Fair
confusing
Lady,
fight.
managed to keep their sanity intact.
Unshare of
When
where to put your
relocating
eyes.
from their home, Quaylag and the Fair Lady took a group of their servants with them. The servants were unfortunate to suffer from a parasitic disease, becoming afflicted with an unknown blight, resulting in their whole bodies becoming infested by worms. If
Ew.
killed, the egg burdened will not drop souls. The worms within them will do so instead, indicating that the parasites had devoured the souls of the host. In an act of purity,
See, that's interesting. The worms themselves devoured souls. Okay. And by the way, those worms were the bane of my existence. We could not hit them. For the life of me, I could not hit them in our first playthrough. They were annoying to deal with. I just avoided those freaking egg bearers like the plague, man. And then Pale Rider says I can use the poison mist with the Fire Hand to kill the light bug early to save Solaire. Yeah, okay. I think I remember you guys talking to me about that, but that's kind of a cheese, ain't it? I know magic is cheesing, but like that's kind of a literal cheese, like game breakage cheese, right? That's like through a wall or something you have to do then.
The fair lady, despite Quaylag's disapproval, chose to suck out the blight pus from her servants, sacrificing her health and sight in exchange of saving them. One of the servants, named Inji, can be found in Quaylag's domain, stating the following.
There is nothing to say to you, except if you lay a hand on the fair lady, you should be prepared to face my wrath.
This statement conveys the adoration the servants felt towards the fair lady in response to the sacrifice she made for their sake. Quaylag now remains in Blighttown in protection of her younger sister, who became weakened and blind, making her unable to travel. With her sister's condition worsening, Quaylag has no choice but to accompany her at all times to ensure that the fair lady is not to be harmed by anyone. In light of this knowledge, the battle with the Chaos Witch is rather bittersweet. However, it must be fought. If the chosen undead...
That is kind of bittersweet if you think about it, but even them being monstrosities, the fair lady wasn't really doing anything to us. Yet I was coaxed into murdering her. And that's what inevitably made me fight, I think, the pyromancer guy. But, okay. Tommy says, light bugs, there's a lot. You need a lot of humanity. And I need to give it to the fair lady. She'll open a door, and you can save him by killing all the bugs. And then option delete says he's played the whole game, doesn't remember nothing. Me too, that's why we're here. Can also give her 50 humanity to unlock the shortcut before beating the centipede demon. Okay, Sater just kind of repeated what Tommy was saying. Okay, so we need to give her 50 humanity. That's a lot of humanity. But all in favor of saving Solaire? We might. Only 30, not 50? That's what the Chosen Beast does game says. So, okay. 30 is not as bad. We might be able to do that. What's up, Chosen Beast? Welcome to the stream.
Undead is to reach the second bell of awakening. Transitioning to the fair lady, she can be found hidden behind an illusionary wall following the fight, likely Quaylag's attempt at shielding her from harm. The fair lady acts as a firekeeper to the bonfire in the area, but is unable to communicate with the chosen undead, unless they equip the old witch's ring. Equipping the ring will lead the fair lady to believe that the chosen undead is in fact her sister Quaylag, urging her to say the following.
Quaylag, please, sister, do not cry. I am happy, really. I have you, don't I?
Man, I wish I had a freaking... Wow, that's really sad. I kind of wish I had the witch's ring equipped. I probably wouldn't have schmacked her. That's really sad. Please don't cry. I am happy. She's doing what he thinks is right. Oh, it's so sad and depressing. What the heck, Dark Souls? From Software? Miyazaki? What?
Believing that her sister Quaylag stands before her, the fair lady reassures her not to cry,
helping you with
expressing
decisions.
that she's happy.
Help me with decisions, man.
She suffers day by day, endlessly living in anguish since her sacrifice. Interestingly, she attempts to comfort herself when stating, I have you, don't I? Trusting that her sister
That's
remains
really
by
sad.
her side during her times of need. Yet the
That reminds me of the Invincible episode when, like, I think it was like season 1, whenever he's fighting his dad. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert! Click pause or click out now. Whenever Mark's dad is fighting him and he just says, what will you have after 500 years? And then Mark just says, beaten up, I'll have you, Dad. That reminds me of that. Freaking sad. Freaking sad, man.
quiver in her voice questions the very words she speaks, as she slowly begins to lose her faith in her own self, knowing deep down that her sister is gone. One day, the fair lady's corpse would be discovered by an ashen one hidden behind the veil of an illusionary
so
wall,
that confirms that.
the tome of her sister, Quaylana.
Okay, so yeah, like, I think you guys were explaining that to me in Dark Souls 3 too, that this is pretty much all of Lost Izalith just in Dark Souls 3, just in the future. And this is her. Yeah, I think somebody was telling me that. Okay, so that confirms that. Cool freaking beans. And I agree, guys, that was a really good scene. Invincible is great. I need to watch the new season.
A tale as tragic as the Fair Lady's is only matched by none other than her own brother, Ceaseless Discharge, the youngest child.
Okay, and that confirms what Sater was saying about this being their brother. They had a brother.
And only son of the Witch of Izalith.
Only
Born
son.
with sores inflamed by lava, the child was raised in hardship, invoking his sisters to enchant a ring that would ease his pain. The orange charred ring reads, since his sores were inflamed by lava from birth, his witch sisters gave him this special ring. Worsening his already dire existence, the duplication of the first flame resulted in him morphing into a large demonic creature, making him the first ever demon to come to life. Ceaseless now lingers in the demon ruins, watching over the corpse of his supposedly deceased sister, Quailana, who we now...
That's the crap end of the stick right there, man. He's freaking already suffering from something already, an ailment already, and then like them trying to, you know, or the creation of the bed of chaos just furthers his destruction, morphing him into that freaking thing. Literally calling it's called the ceaseless thing. That's just terrible. That's like the worst luck ever.
Now know is alive. The corpse is accompanied by Quailana's gold-hemmed black set, a uniform said to have been worn since before the Age of Fire. When traversing the ruins, Ceaseless does not become hostile towards the chosen undead. That is until they decide to loot the clothing of his beloved sister. His sister's clothes is all that is left for him to remember her by, his only source of comfort in a life of solitude, opting to believe that his family still watches over him till this day. Freeing him from this pitiful existence, Ceaseless' discharge is laid to rest. After suffering for 1,000 years, unaware that his sister was still alive.
That is freaking terrible. What is with Dark Souls being depressing and morbid like this? I'm over here like my first playthrough, I'm walking through, I'm waltzing through, I'm like, let me kill everything. I want to kill everything. Everything is demonic and trying to kill me. This is so sad. I'm going to have like a new perspective going into this game when I play it again. What the heck, man? The dude literally, that's like, this is like the worst. Like the Los Angeles sisters have a depressing story. The brother, all that he had, or what he thought he had, was his sister to keep him company. Meanwhile, she was still alive. He didn't know about it? What is this? This is terrible.
Finally, the chosen undead reaches their destination, ringing the second bell of awakening, and causing the gates of Sen's fortress to open, unlocking...
Yeah, I'm asking over here, like, why did Bass ask why a dark game has dark lore, but like... I mean, I expected it to be dark, but not to be freaking sad and depressing. I mean, like, in this way, that's freaking like a monster. Like, they're monsters we're killing, but they have a sad backstory.
The pathway to the land of ancient gods. If the chosen undead is to visit the fortress prior to ringing the bells, the gate would be sealed closed,
Onion
and an
bro
undead adventurer would be helplessly sat outside, unable to reach Anor Londo. The adventurer is
I'll be
called
snoring.
Sigmar of Katarina, travelling from a land celebrated for its cheerful residents and festivity. However, the honourable knights of Katarina aren't always given their fair dues, as they are described as being often ridiculed for their onion-like shape, infuriating the proud knights. With the gates opened, the chosen undead can commence on their journey, encountering various challenges every step of the way.
That's really sad that the Knights of Katarina were ridiculed for their onion armor, dude. That's just not... That's not cool. They're, like, super cheerful. Like, dude, what? Sigmar was awesome, man. Sig bro. Freaking onion bro, man. And the hole goes deeper, Pale Rider says. Oh, that's great. Goes darker. That's great. Into the abyss. Even more sadness incoming, Tommy says. That's great. I didn't think it could get more melancholy than what we just witnessed at Izalith, but okay, we'll continue. And, okay. And then, you caught me live. You did, Taylor. You caught me live. Welcome to the stream. We're learning about Dark Souls lore.
Stone Fort is said to have been built as a proving
It's
ground,
freaking
a way of
sad.
testing those who deem themselves worthy of setting foot in
I hated this place, by the way.
Making their way through
Sen's Fortress.
The chosen undead is challenged by armed guards resembling serpents, titanite demons, a diverse range of traps, and many other environmental hazards. Delving deeper into the fortress, the chosen undead is reunited with Sigmar, who's once again halted on his adventure, unable to overcome one of the many traps built within the confines of the stronghold. Akin to prior events, it is up to the chosen undead to overcome the challenge, enabling them to solve the puzzle-like trap and pave the way for Sigmar's entrance into Anor Londo. Whilst maneuvering the iron ball trap mechanism, the chosen undead can manipulate it to destroy a nearby wall, uncovering the whereabouts of Big Hat Logan.
Yep.
He's found locked in a cage, likely to have been caught by one of the traps. Rescuing Logan leads to him showing gratitude towards the chosen undead, and retreating to Filing Shrine,
With
where
his
he
pupil.
accompanies Griggs of Vinheim, the sorcerer previously freed from Lower Undead Burg. Logan was a renowned sorcerer and a royal member of the Vinheim Dragon School.
But yet, Logan would do nothing with us if we didn't have a certain, I think, intelligent level or something. We were just such a bonking build in our playthrough. He didn't even want to talk to us anymore when he was back at Firelink, but at least he's alive, you know? And then, yeah, Sen's Fortress was the pit of despair. yeah, it had a lot of pits that I fell into, and I did feel despair. I did not enjoy that experience. I did a supercut in the video on Sin's Fortress because I died a lot. I died a lot.
The description of the Soul Spear credits Logan as its creator, and details that it's a symbol of Logan's strength. The Soul Spear is referenced repeatedly in the legends, and is said to have been on par with Lord Gwyn's lightning. This puts into perspective the extent of the power that Big Hat Logan encompasses. Although extremely capable, Logan does not flaunt his stature, as he's still seen wearing his worn-out sage robe from his apprentice days at the Dragon School. Little more is known about Logan, although a conversation with a blacksmith named Rickert of Vinheim suggests that he had been undead for over a century. Could this be the very reason Logan departed from Vinheim?
Oh, Big Hat? Of course I've heard of him. Who hasn't in Vinheim? He was a royal member of Dragon School, until he turned undead. I hear he was quite the character. Only that was 100 years ago.
The final deterrent to those seeking access to
He was dead for over 100 years? My goodness, dude. That's gotta suck. Not being able to be human again. John says, when this game came out, Sin's Fortress was thought to be the in-game, and then the sky opened up. That's interesting to think about. What was the worst? So every time that I help Onion Bro, I'm basically hollowing him because he doesn't have a purpose anymore. Because we take all his chances at greatness and honor away from him. That's actually kind of sad. That's actually kind of sad. I don't like that. Poor Onion Bro, man. We should just, like, kick him to the curb, I guess. Okay.
Orlando is the Iron Golem, a guardian of Sin's Fortress.
This guy.
Referenced as a slayer of heroes who ventured forth to Orlando. The core of an Iron Golem is described as originally a bone of an everlasting dragon, explaining the durability of this adversary. Having said that, there was one warrior who was able to defeat this foe, Black Iron Tarkus,
this
a knight
guy.
of Berenike.
A lot of people
the
like
Black
this
Iron
guy.
set informs that Tarkus is a knight known for his great strength. This stands true for all knights of
Not as strong as Havel.
Berenike, as they wore heavy armor, wielded great swords, and were praised for their mighty vigor. Sad to say, the majority of the knights became undead, and ventured to Lordran to find a solution to their predicament. One at a time, the knights began to turn hollow, making them a threat to all undead beings in Lordran. Black Iron Tarkus was an exception to this fact, resulting in him being one of the only knights to survive past Sin's Fortress in his quest to cure the undead curse. In a display of virtue, Tarkus offers himself up to those who need assistance in defeating the Iron Golem, granting the chosen undead the ability to summon him for the fight if need be. Slaying the Iron Golem marks the end of the final challenge, giving the chosen undead access to the land of the gods, home to the Lord Vessel that would decide the fate of the world.
Okay, hold up before we do that. Okay, so talking about Lord Tarkus or Knight Tarkus and his peeps, that's really sad too. I'm over here thinking when we were going through that those were just knights posted up, I guess, by Gwyn in Sin's Fortress to keep us from getting there. Those guys were just trying to get to the freaking castle and the land of sunlight to figure out what the heck's going on with them, what's going on with their selves, and then they turn hollow on the way. That's freaking terrible. This is terrible. What in the world? All right, let me back it up here really quick because I think this is going to pop off here. Hold up. All right, let's try that again. Oh, beautiful. Chapter. A Grand Illusion. A Grand Illusion. Which is what Gwyn was basically making everyone believe.
Orlando was abandoned by many since
He was the good
absence
guy.
of Gwyn,
He's not the good
who
guy.
left the city behind over 1,000 years ago. Yet the kingdom appears to have maintained its beauty, as well as the preservation of its marble structure, a peculiar surprise to say the least. Perhaps this is something to be investigated at a later point. Exploring the ancient land reveals the remaining guardians of Orlando, the Sentinels, and their higher-ranking counterparts, the Royal Sentinels, who will become hostile if the chosen undead oversteps their boundaries. In addition, Batwing demons are present throughout the land, the same demons that provide the chosen undead passage into the city. Perhaps this is the extent of their duties. If so, what's the reason for their hostility? It's possible that there are limits to where foreign beings are permitted to roam. The Batwing demons are described as unique chaos demons, as unlike others, they are imbued with lightning. Their presence in Orlando could also be an indication of Gwyn's alliance with the demon race, also guarding Orlando.
That's interesting, yeah, because I had the same question. I was like, why are these winged demons bringing us to Orlando if they just want to like schwackadoodle-dandy? So maybe, yeah, we weren't made to go all the way to the palace, maybe just to see it from a distance or something. I don't know. And those sentinels that he's talking about, the big giant dudes in Anor Londo, the statue of Ornstein is like behind them. They're seen guarding like around the area where Ornstein statues and stuff are. Are they like, are they followers of Ornstein, you think? Or am I getting that right? Is that why they're around those statues? Or are they just, I mean, obviously everyone over here is a follower of Gwyn and Sunlight and all that, but wonder if they were paired with like Ornstein and Smo or something like that. That's my question. And then Pale Rider says Gwyn allied with the demons, but not humanity. Yeah, it is a low blow. Gwyn almost destroyed Izalith, but stopped just short because he had crushed them. So when he left, he took different types of demons to guard different places. Gwyn seems like a freaking, like he seems mighty and powerful, but he's a turd ball. Freaking turd ball, dude. But he was trying to carry on his legacy, I guess, or make sure his legacy carried on.
Of the Silver
The
Knights, who
gods.
as previously mentioned were ordered to stay behind by Gwyn in service of protecting their goddess.
Screw
Guinevere.
those knights,
Upon closer
man.
inspection, it is noticeable that Anor Londo's architecture is built with consideration for both gods and humans, as evident with the various sizes of appliances, pathways, stairs, doors, and even lifts. This indicates that the capital was more accommodating than what was previously thought, and was likely home to both gods and humans.
Yeah.
Approaching a nearby bonfire leads to the introduction to the Dark Moon Knightess, a gatekeeper and guide to outside travelers. At this moment, little is known about the Knightess, besides the fact that she's a firekeeper, and possibly originated from Karim. This can be speculated based on her weapon of choice being a parry and dagger, a favourite of the Knights of Karim, who are famous for fighting without a shield. Surveying the area, the corpse of Black Iron
But if she is acting like a firekeeper, then how is she able to do that if she doesn't have her eyes removed or her tongue cut out? She could basically tell us if she knows the truth, and she knows the truth of the flame. Why is she different from the others then? That's another question. My goodness. And then, what's up, Toby? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. We're just reacting to some lore. Lore on Dark
the
Souls.
Honourable Knight of Berenik can be found within the giant hall of Painting Guardians, likely to have fallen off the narrow rafters,
Oh, that's the
if
guy.
not through
Okay.
one of the windows leading to the hall, a pitiful end to an otherwise decorated knight. If not for the involvement of the chosen undead, another knight would have met their fate in Anor Londo, as Siegmeyer, the Onion Knight previously encountered, is now in need of rescuing from imminent death.
Okay.
Siegmeyer can be found trapped in a room with a collective of Silver Knights awaiting his exit. The chosen undead deals with the Silver Knights, clearing the way for Siegmeyer to continue on his journey. Interestingly, before departing, Siegmeyer says, "Next time give me a chance to come up with a plan." The slight aggression hints at his frustration with being saved. The prideful knight that he is would rather use his resolve to overcome an obstacle, or at least die trying, than to be constantly indebted to the chosen undead. Within a giant cathedral.
Okay, so that makes sense as to what Tommy was talking about, how we keep saving Siegmeyer or opening up paths for Siegmeyer, basically to continue. And yeah, he's getting a little frustrated and heated with us that he keeps being indebted to us. I didn't pick up on that too much when I was playing. That's interesting. Because he's an honorable knight. Tommy also says, so from what I know, she herself is an artificial firekeeper, not a true one, but honestly can't remember entirely. And then Pale Rider says it may be because she swore allegiance to Gwendolyn. If you swear allegiance to Gwendolyn, you can be a firekeeper. Is that how that works then? Even if you don't have your eyes cut out and your tongue cut out? Is Yorm in the giant in Dark Souls 1 boss? He is not. That would be, I think, Dark Souls 3. He might be in here, though. There might be talks of Yorm in the first one. I don't know. We'll see.
Cathedral in Anor Londo reside the greatest threat yet to be faced, Dragon Slayer Ornstein and Executioner Smo. As we already know, Ornstein was once a member of the Four Knights of Gwyn. After the gods abandoned Anor Londo, Ornstein alongside Smo remained stationed to guard its cathedral, and with it, the Princess of Sunlight, Guinevere. Executioner Smo desired to be a member of Gwyn's Knights.
Here we go.
However, he was rejected due to his unhinged behavior and maniacal joy in being an executioner. Smo's hammer describes him as such. Smo loved his work and ground the bones of his victims into his own feed, ruining his hopes of being ranked with the Four Knights.
Yeah, I remember you guys talking about this too, that he was an executioner. I do know that. And he basically ate the people that he executed and stuff, which, yeah, would make you very unworthy to be of, I guess, a higher stature in someone like Gwyn's army or whatever. It's pretty messed up. I also like the gentle music in the background of that explanation. It's just like, oh, by the way, he's a monster, but there's some really tranquil music in the background, really calming music. And then Tommy says, I guess you could be a firekeeper because being a son of Gwyn and a god trying to keep the fire going, that'd be making sense? I guess so. Huh. I guess that could be it.
The implication that Smo possessed cannibalistic tendencies likely led to him being regarded as nothing more than a savage, unworthy of being amongst Gwyn's ranked knights. With his wild nature, it is no surprise that if Ornstein is to be defeated first in the fight, Smo crushes his body to absorb his power, with little respect shown to his compadre. If the roles were to be reversed, Ornstein would place his hand on Smo's body as a gesture of respect before absorbing his power, a clear difference in their moral disposition.
Interesting.
Upon defeating the pair, Princess Guinevere reveals herself, claiming that the chosen undead's duty is to succeed her father Gwyn and inherit the fire of their world. She pleads that they must end the eternal twilight, as the world without fire shall be a frigid.
He's also laughing as he crushes him. Yeah, the dude's a little unhinged and crazy. Why is he here? Defending people in this area. That also leads me to, why was he defending Guinevere and Gwyn's interests if he wasn't even allowed to be in the Knights? That's interesting. That he had that much honor, at least. Stick around.
Frigid and frightful dark. In addition to this, Guinevere provides the chosen undead with a Lord Vessel, a means to link the flame and prolong the Age of Fire. The Lord Vessel is bestowed upon the chosen undead, who is destined to succeed Lord Gwyn. To open the final door, place this vessel on a filing altar and fill it with powerful souls. These instructions suggest that the chosen undead must acquire the soul of Grave Lord Nito and the Bed of Chaos, as well as the souls of Seath Scalus and the Four Kings, which previously belonged to Gwyn before he fragmented his soul and gifted it to them. Placing the four souls on the altar will grant access to the kiln of the first flame, where
that's interesting because it's like, we gotta destroy everybody who basically ended the reign of the dragons and helped Gwyn. We have to sacrifice everything, or the gods themselves have to sacrifice themselves to continue the flame. Just to continue the flame, just to, like, continue the reign of the gods for a little bit longer. That's just so extremist. How's it going, Breezy? Yeah, it's a good time, man. I'm enjoying it. We're also reacting to a smaller channel, Brothers Code, to learn, not one of the bigger ones. And yeah, I'm learning that it is really sad and depressing, and also I hate Gwyn. Any answer we could get about Smo would be greatly upsetting. Yeah.
where the fate of the world will be decided. If the chosen undead was to be oblivious to the synthetic behaviour of Guinevere, or as previously mentioned, the unnatural preservation of Honor Londo for the past millennia, they would leave the capital in pursuit of the required Lord Souls. However, with further investigation, it is revealed that the entire construction of Honor Londo, along with Princess Guinevere herself, is naught but a grand illusion, a facade orchestrated by none other than Dark Sun Gwyndolin, the last born of Lord Gwyn. Gwyndolin is the last remaining god and protector of the forsaken city of Honor Londo. The Moonlight Robe explains that Gwyndolin was raised as a daughter due to the power of the moon being strong within him. With his father being the Lord of Sunlight, he likely viewed Gwyndolin, or rather all who were affiliated with the moon's power, as inferior, resulting in Gwyndolin being treated less than adequately by his father. It is probable that the moon is also a reminder of the inevitable Age of Darkness, the bane of Gwyn's existence.
This is also what's interesting about that, though. Friggin' Gwyndolin's trying to create this illusion that everything is still fine and dandy and we should continue the Age of Fire. But at the same time, he was treated so lowly by Gwyn. It's like the same question I have with Smo. It's like, why is the dude trying to defend something if he's being treated like crap? People have, or gods and creatures have weird reasons for doing things in this game so far.
Gwyndolin now,
or at least for Gwyn,
the Blade of the Dark
related to Gwyn,
which was created to punish the guilt-soaked offenders of the gods. Upon punishing the offenders, members.
But then that would also, it would make sense too, it would be a selfish reason to continue the flame, because if he is truly the last god that's, you know, sane, I guess, then he would just want to continue living. So I guess that would answer that question that I have about him creating this illusion just so we continue the flame, we being the slave to whatever the gods say or whatever.
Members of the Covenant would take the victim's ear as proof of their conquest and provide it to Gwendolyn in exchange for having their rank increased, leaving the earless corpses as a warning to others, inspiring both fear and respect for the gods. The Dark Moonblade Covenant Ring states, Gwendolyn, all too aware of his repulsive, frail appearance, created the illusion of a sister Guinevere who helps him guard over on Orlando. An unmasking of these deities would be tantamount to blasphemy. To pull back the veil placed upon Orlando, one must destroy the illusion of Guinevere, resulting in the city darkening, and Darkmoon soldiers being deployed by Gwendolyn to hunt down a chosen undead. Alternatively, the illusion can be maintained, using this as an opportunity to deceive Gwendolyn, posing as an adherent who wishes to join the Blade of the Dark Moon Covenant. To achieve this, one must acquire the Dark Moon Seance Ring, which is outlined as a ring that is granted to adherents of Gwendolyn. Once the ring is equipped, the chosen undead is able to approach Gwendolyn's sanctum within the Dark Moon Tomb, under the guise of an ally, only to betray Gwendolyn by traversing through the fog and slaying the last remaining deity in Orlando.
Yeah, we absolutely slapped his booty cheeks, man. Slapped him. And Tommy says that's why the Nameless King actually left. I think he was tired of his family treating and everyone else a certain way. Yeah, it would seem that this family of Gwen was very dysfunctional. Like, everyone kind of was just, I don't know, it was just a weird dynamic here. Also, a lot of people said that the reason that Gwendolyn created this illusion of Gwen's daughter, Guinevere, as well as because he had like a weird sibling crush on her or something like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's going to be talked about, but some sinister stuff was just going on in the family. Just weird. And then, yeah, let's continue.
Or at least that's what the chosen undead is led to believe, as many years later, it is revealed that Gwendolyn was devoured by Saint Aldridge of the Deep. The Master of Illusions ironically turned out to be no more than an illusion himself. Defeating Gwendolyn will result in the Dark Moon Knightess becoming hostile,
that's kind of
forcing
interesting.
the chosen undead's hand.
That's like take a bit of your own medicine kind of thing. In Dark Souls 3, that's yep.
In engaging the Firekeeper, the brass set explains the sudden change of alliance from the Knightess, expressing that, after becoming undead, she visited the Dark Sun Gwendolyn at the Mausoleum of the Spiral Depths, became a Blade of the Dark Moon, and assumed the flame-keeping duty. She received this
and that's what you guys were explaining to me earlier, Pale Rider and Tommy, were that, I guess, because she swore herself an allegiance with, I guess, with Gwendolyn there and everything, she's able to, I guess, control the flame and be a firekeeper without having her tongue or eyes cut out, because she's, well, she's on the side of the gods, basically, so she can be trusted to know the secrets of the flame or whatever.
Armor, which hides her hideous form and helps her hunt the guilty. In her eyes, the chosen undead
she's
is
ugly?
the guilty, committing the worst sin imaginable by way of slaughtering her god, which she had placed all her faith in. Becoming aware of the illusion placed on Orlando, it is logical to begin questioning all that had taken place this far. To what extent had reality been altered in favor of displaying a model city? Ornstein's armor originally states that he had remained in the Grand Cathedral. However, many years later, studying the Dragon Slayer set will bring light to the possibility that the Ornstein faced in Orlando is in fact a creation of Gwendolyn, another pawn within the Grand
Everything's
Illusion.
just
the
an
Dragon
illusion.
Slayer set reads, in the Dragonless Age, this knight, who long guarded the ruined cathedral, left the land in search of the Nameless King. Smo may have also been an illusion. Reinforcing this theory is the description of Smo's armor, which references Smo as an executioner. However, many years later, Smo's armor would refer to him as the last knight to stand in defense of the ruined cathedral. How could he have risen to the rank of knight if the chosen undead had killed him in Orlando? Perhaps soon after Ornstein left the cathedral, the real Smo followed suit, and at some point became worthy of the rank of knight.
How does that happen then? Oh, we got an ad. So, okay. So everything basically in Orlando, everything, not just Guinevere, not just the look of the city and the brightness of the city, was an illusion, including Ornstein and Smo. But what he's saying is basically Smo could have been there, but also couldn't have because of the item descriptions and all that. But Smo's nature, him being maniacal and evil as he is, still leads me to the fact that maybe he was not an illusion. Maybe Ornstein was just an illusion, and Smo was actually there, him being as evil as he was, or something like that. And I don't know. I tried to piece together this too. Then, yeah, are you guys saying anything? The video's spitting facts? It is. It is spitting facts, man. And Breezy says she's probably just beef jerky under the army, like the character in hollow form. Interesting. Ornstein is also the only one to come back in 2 and 3, suggesting that he left. But that's the thing. In 2, we fought the dragon armor dude, right? Was that Ornstein in 2? Or was that just some other knight? I thought somebody said that that was just some other knight. In 3, his armor does come back, but not him himself. So he probably did leave. Maybe with the Nameless King, actually, because we found his armor, didn't we, in Dark Souls 3 in the Nameless King's arena. So yeah, that does suggest that he did leave.
Mystery remains to be what had
But what
happened
about
to the
Smoke?
real Ornstein if the one encountered is an imitation. One theory suggests that following Gwyn's sacrifice, Ornstein departed from the ruined cathedral to reunite with his former master,
Aha!
the Nameless King.
There you
this
go.
is probable, as it is known that the Nameless King had trained the 4 Knights of Gwyn
There you
prior to
go.
being banished
I
for
just
his
said
betrayal
that.
of the gods.
Basically,
this is
followed after
noticeable when
Nameless King.
comparing the combat styles of Ornstein and the Nameless King, both opting to use similar weaponry, movesets, and miracles.
Interesting.
However, the fact that his armor can be discovered in arch.
See, that's a cool tie-in right there. That's cool that's really cool. Okay. All right. I'm gathering that. So the Nameless King, aka probably maybe Forearm, was Ornstein's master originally. And that's why he's here. And that's why we can find his armor here. That's really cool. Okay.
Dragon Peak suggests an untimely death, birthing a second theory that proposes that Ornstein had left the cathedral to hunt down the Nameless King, only to be slain by him
Oh,
instead.
no, he was hunting him down. He wasn't going to join his master, is what this guy's saying now. Dang it, I think I was wrong there.
Regardless of whether Ornstein's intentions were to hunt down the Nameless King or join him, the expedition most likely resulted in his death. Perhaps
Yeah.
the Nameless King had turned hollow and could no longer identify the difference between friend and foe.
Well, that would be
To
sad.
think that after all the years past, Gwyn's firstborn still haunts the lives of those he betrayed, leading to Ornstein choosing to end a chapter of his life that had long been left unfinished.
That's really sad, and it would go in line with the rest of the freaking lore, how everything's dadgum sad in this game or this series. A friend or a lower follower of Forearm, the Nameless King, goes to reignite with his old master, and then his old master doesn't recognize him, and in turn ends his life, which is why we find his armor. That's, once again, friggin' depressing. Woo!
Remnants of the Nameless King still exist in Lordran until this day, as within the very cathedral that Ornstein was guarding, there are alcoves of 3 statues, 2 of them depicting Gwyn and his daughter Guinevere, with the third being hollow.
Which is
The
probably...
Sunlight Altar,
what's his
although
face?
destroyed, depicts the fallen
Yep.
god of war.
Yep.
No wonder the wyvern safeguards
Nameless.
the bridge leading to the altar,
That's
a
interesting
reminder
too.
of the firstborn son of Gwyn, a
Ah.
warrior that once belonged amongst royalty, still worshipped
Interesting.
by those who believed in him.
So there.
Amidst the wealth of history discovered in Anor Londo, also lies a world concealed from all.
There's a lot of lore suggesting that Ornstein was a loyal knight of the Nameless King. His armor is discarded because he becomes a dragon. Huh. Interesting. What if he was the dragon on the bridge? Just kidding. That couldn't be.
All life, the painted world of Ariamis, placed amidst the
Ariamis.
painting guardians,
Okay, I
who
remember
have
this.
guarded the great paintings of Ariamis for ages, passing their duty down through the generations. But the reason for doing so passed from all memory long ago. The painted world was created as a refuge for the lost souls of various creatures. Since the inception of the undead curse, countless beings had either hollowed or lost their purpose in life. With their souls going astray, they aimlessly wander the lands in hopes of finding guidance. Over time, word spread of a painted world that welcomes all beings without a home, and so the painted world became popular amongst abandoned souls. Some believe that the true purpose of the world.
That is freaking, once again, like, kind of sad. We were cutting down hollows that were seeking refuge in the painted world. And we also ended this dragon lady too, out of malice. This will be changing my decisions going forward in the next playthrough. For sure, Zeus. Is this boss lady good though? That's the question. Or what did she What's her role in this?
Was to hide the existence of crossbreed Priscilla, a being neither god nor human. Priscilla is described as a dragon crossbreed, a bastard child of Seath the Scaleless, who had been trapped in the Painted World. Priscilla wields a life-hunt scythe, a weapon that cultivated enough power to warrant the fear of the gods. The scythe could not be wielded by all beings, as in the hands of a mortal, its power will turn upon its wielder. The weapon inflicted bleed onto those who carry it, making it accessible only to beings powerful enough to bear that burden. For the chosen undead to access the Painted World, they would have to acquire a peculiar doll, likely the only remaining item to connect Priscilla to the real world. The doll reads, "There once was an abomination who had no place in this world. She clutched this doll tightly and eventually was drawn into a cold and lonely Painted World."
It just sounds terrible. They call her even an abomination, and she's not really that mean unless we try to attack her. She's just trying to evade the world that ridiculed her because they call her an abomination. And, wow. I didn't know that she was Seath's daughter or whatever. That's interesting and also kind of weird, but interesting. How many innocent lives have I ended, John? Fail writer states the truth there. Too many. I've killed too many. Her scythe could kill gods, so they trapped her there. Okay. So wait, they trapped her there. Okay. They just put her in there. She didn't go in there like the Hollows trying to seek asylum then. She was placed there because her scythe could end a god. Okay. Got you. Still sad. Still sad she was imprisoned for just being able to, for just existing.
To obtain the doll, the chosen undead must return to where their pilgrimage began, the northern...
Seath's and Guinevere's daughter, you believe? That's just a weird image, but okay.
Undead asylum, only now hosting a stray demon since the previous guardian had been slaughtered. Moving forward, the chosen undead encounters an old ally, Oscar, Knight of Astoria, the honorable warrior who rescued the chosen undead.
R.I.P. Oscar.
And set them off on their journey. Sadly, Oscar is no longer that person, as the despair of being unable to escape the asylum led to Oscar losing his sanity. Unable to overcome the very first obstacle he encountered, Oscar had lost all sense of self, and consequently turned hollow. The chosen undead is once again placed in a position where he must free a soul trapped in a hollow body. Following this demoralizing encounter, the chosen undead acquires the peculiar doll, now able to access the Painted World of Ariamis. The Painted World is undoubtedly associated with Valka, goddess of sin. She is described as a rogue god, whose duty was to define sin and administer punishment accordingly. She does, however, offer absolution through her pardoners, one being Oswald of Karim, who the chosen undead had already crossed paths with. Within the Painted World, many items attributed to the goddess of sin can be found, one being the black cleric robe.
Wait, let me back it up here. So what I'm understanding, if you want to make this story not as dark as it is making out, if anything, us, the undead, the chosen undead, we're just freeing souls, man. We're doing this world's... We're doing the world a favor by just putting some of these, I guess you'd call them monstrosities to rest, or even people that have hollowed, or knights that have hollowed. We're just putting them to rest. You want to put a glimmer of hope on this story, that's the glimmer of hope. Hold up here. Tommy says, literally, she never tried to do anything, just lived and had the power that she could hurt the gods, so they trapped her. Gwen is the worst. Yes, Gwen is the worst. That's just terrible. Poor Priscilla, man. I will not be killing her in the next playthrough. And holy crap, John, more memberships. Jeez. All right, I appreciate it, even though you're not doing it for me.
Described as a robe worn by pardoners serving Valka, the goddess of sin. The clerics also used Valka's rapier, further linking them to the goddess. The Ring of Sacrifice references a sacrificial rite of Valka, showing the extent of the influence she had on her followers. The influence extended beyond those who worshipped her, as the Vow of Silence explains that Valka is versed in arts both new and old, and is considered to have a great range of influence, even as gods are concerned. Whilst exploring the Painted World, crow demons can be seen surrounding a dark ember, located on a petrified corpse of a blacksmith. dark embers are used to ascend occult weapons. The fact that crows are a symbol of Velka, coupled with the knowledge that Velka's rapier is imbued with occult power, it is highly possible that Velka was to some degree involved with the occult rebellion. Her betrayal of the gods could be why she's referred to as a rogue deity. To prevent further rebellions against the gods, at a point in time, the church long hid the forbidden black ember, and no living blacksmith knows of it.
Interesting. So, like, interesting. Why do all the blacksmiths look like Andre? Just kidding. But, okay, so Velka is God. And she is theorized to maybe be a part of the rebellion against the gods. Which is, in turn, why we kind of have this painting where hollows and people hollowing can seek asylum, and Priscilla is cool with staying here, even though it's a prison. This is, my goodness. Oh my goodness. In Dark Souls, anyone wanting a peaceful and quiet life suffers the worst fates. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there, Peril Rider, because what in the world, man? This is going dark. And oh my gosh, we finally got Tommy as a membership. Finally, John, after a long time, you finally did it. And also got Jim a membership as well. Welcome to the party, family. Welcome to the Bass Pond. Welcome to the Bass Pond. In being a Bass Knight.
The finale of the Painted World, the chosen undead approaches crossbreed Priscilla, residing in an arena at the end of a partially destroyed bridge. Not knowing the trespasser's intentions, she remains non-hostile and offers the chosen undead a chance to leave her world to avoid conflict.
Who art thou? One of us thou art not. If thou hast misstepped into this world, plunge down from the plank and hurry home. If thou seekest I, thine desires shall be requited not. Thou must returneth whence thou came. This land is peaceful, its inhabitants kind, but thou dost not belong. I beg of thee, plunge down from the plank and hurry home.
Yeah, that's like super sad, because she literally is telling us to go home, because it's like you're killing all of these hollows here that are just trying to get away from the ridiculing of the regular world. Just leave, because you just don't belong here. Like, and it's like, just leave me and my people here in peace, because we just want to chill. We just want to relax, and we don't want to be judged for anything. And Tommy says, John's the absolute best. Him and Siren, they're amazing. Goes to show Bass just brings the best people. Aw, thanks. Community rocks. Thanks so much, Tommy, for saying that. And I agree with you. John and Siren, man, they're amazing. Amazing. You guys are awesome for doing that. Even if y'all aren't trying to drop memberships for me and keep my oatmeal addiction going, you're helping others experience the exclusive rewards of being a member on this channel. Early videos, exclusive polls, and exclusive streams. Anyway, moving forward.
Painted World, she pleads that this land is peaceful, its inhabitants kind, contradicting the residents' actions towards the chosen undead.
Exactly,
Perhaps
like
the
we're not
residents
hollow
are
enough,
peaceful, but see the outsider as a threat.
Yeah.
And so they collectively fight to protect Priscilla.
It's even
by attacking
sadder.
the chosen undead at every opportunity.
It's even sadder after
Although
playing the game.
Priscilla had been living in solitude for centuries, confining herself to the tower, her intentions remain pure, as in her eyes, her world still serves the purpose it had initially set out to fulfill. It is now up to the chosen undead. Do they put an end to the Painted World that had long protected those who were cast out, or leave the residents to exist in peace, as what resides in the painting is no business of the undead anyway?
Yeah, I think...
Why could thou not let us be? Didst
Oh,
thou
man.
not see why Ariamis created this world?
In the end,
to leave them at peace. So next time, our next playthrough, we will be going in there to get cool rewards and stuff and things, but my goodness, I will just leave them be, because last time we put her down, and yeah, she just wants to be left alone. Everyone in there wants to be left alone. That's
all
really
of
sad.
Ariamis began to rot, and another painter was chosen to
Here we
create
go.
a new world in place of the rotten one. All the residents of the old world succumbed to their death, likely Priscilla too. What had become of Ariamis remains unknown, as he may have rotted away along with the very world he painted.
And there's the big bowl that we had in our pocket. The Lord Vessel. Thanks so much, Tommy.
Now that the Lord Vessel has been obtained, the chosen undead can continue their journey. In Firelink Shrine, a primordial serpent
This
named
freaking
King
guy.
Seeker Framt appears, who reveals the following.
As Kingseeker, I shall now instruct you, the Lord's successor, in your next task. To achieve your fate, commensurate to the great soul of Gwyn, scarce few possess such brilliant souls. Grave Lord Nito, the Witch of Izalith, the 4 kings of New Londo, who inherited the shards of Gwyn's soul, and Lord Gwyn's former confidant, Seath the Scaleless. All of their souls are required to satiate the Lord Vessel.
Here we learn that the Lord...
And that's, as we were talking about before, that pretty much we have to sacrifice all of the people that wanted to continue the god's reign just to continue the Age of Fire. That is just so wild to me. I don't know. And, Tommy, you're saying it's like it's tapping into the big lore from the other games, but not touching on too much. I do like that. It's really keeping it grounded in just Dark Souls 1 right now in this video. I really like that. Okay. And freaking Frampt over here is a Gwyn follower and wants him to... Man, it's just so wild. Like, in this game, if you're playing it the first time like I did, it just paints the picture that Gwyn is the good guy and stuff from the Abyss is like the bad, but that's completely opposite. It's like there's a whole rebellion that's being overshadowed by a very clear illusion that I'm seeing now, and I just was so blind to it. I was just killing stuff before. My goodness.
Lord Vessel must be utilized in order to link the fire. Frampt's goal is to seek a king, someone who will link the flame and extend the Age of Fire, in the name of Gwyn. However, there is another path. Darkstalker Karth also requires the Lord Vessel and the Chosen Undead's help, but not to link the fire, but to let the flame fade instead.
But see, this is what I mean, like, I'm thinking, when I'm playing this the first time, that Frampt is a good guy and this is the bad guy. Off, or whatever. Like, he looks like a bad guy, but it's not. Letting the light fade and letting darkness reign again will literally make it to where humans can just be happy and nobody will be hollowed again. Just wild. Gwyn also gave them pieces of his soul, knowing that a chosen undead would have to kill them to combine their souls, so he gave them power knowing it would be their deaths. Well, yeah, the Abyss is still bad, Satyr, but wow, Tommy, yeah, that's... Gwyn is a terrible freaking god, man.
At first glance, it appears that Frampt represents the light, the fire, and the gods, whereas Karth symbolizes the dark, humanity, and a plan to end the fading age of gods. The serpents are inexplicably linked to the conclusion of the Chosen Undead's fate.
I mean, I think regardless, like, you know, as we've seen in this story so far, the gods wanting to overthrow the dragons, if humanity overthrows the gods, them in turn, they'll become tyrants, and then some other cycle will continue. So it's just like, people are always bad no matter what you do, no matter what decision you make. It's like, you start the game, just don't. That's how we satiate the world.
To obtain the Soul of Lords is no easy task, as the Chosen Undead will have to slay the very beings that overthrew the everlasting dragons, as well as venture into the Abyss itself. Seath, the Scaleless, resides in the Duke's Archives, a landmark situated high above. Its elevated position can be seen from the Undead Parish. The Duke's Archives, as the name suggests, is a large library, housing many books and artifacts, a paradise for a scholar like Seath, in his never-ending hunt for immortality. When the Chosen Undead encounters the Pale
Well, apparently Seath needs to grow some scales in order to become immortal, okay? So he's gonna have to luck out, because we're gonna slap his booty cheeks, his dragon booty cheeks, with a big old bonking sword like we did in our playthrough.
Dragon, for the first time, he appears to be invincible, immune to all forms of offense, suggesting he had discovered the secret to immortality. As a result, the Chosen Undead falls and wakes up in a cell. Here lies the abducted victims of Seath's experiments. The six-eyed channelers would aid Seath in abducting residents of Lordran, forcing them to become test subjects. Considering Seath was blind, the channelers' helms were adorned with 6 eyes arranged in 2 vertical columns, as this compensated for Seath's lack of sight.
Interesting.
In order to keep the abductees from leaving, the man-serpents were stationed as guards. In addition, the archives were converted into a prison, as confirmed by the Archive Tower cell key. The Archive Tower, once a trove of precious tomes and letters, became a prison after the onset of Seath's madness. Interesting that Seath had lost his sanity after discovering immortality. Furthermore,
that's just wild. Like, you literally have spent your entire existence trying to reach this goal of a thing just to fall to insanity, like, after you actually get it. That's wild. Like, that's the ultimate end for a being, I think. And Pale Rider's dropping freaking quotes left and right, man. When everyone is evil, no one will be. That's a sick quote. There's 4 different endings in Dark Souls 3, though 4 different paths. Rekindle the fire, give the fire keeper the flame, betray the fire keeper, or the Lord of Hollows. A lot of endings. And there is only like 2 in this one. So it's literally like, you know, let it fade, change the flame. It's the only choice you get.
The archive giant cell key states, the giant cell once imprisoned countless maidens, but is now empty, save for a few key persons. The maidens referred to here are most likely the Pisakas. Although several of the Pisakas are hostile, 2 can be found, weeping in a corner, who will only retaliate when harmed. When slain, these 2 will drop the miracles Soothing Sunlight and Bountiful Sunlight. According to the description of the items, these were the miracles of Guinevere, suggesting that the Pisakas were once maidens to the daughter of Gwyn. This also explains why a 6-eyed channeler is stationed in the undead parish, as many maidens would pass through the church.
Interesting. I remember some of you guys too talking about that in the comments, that those freaking things, the squid monsters, were maidens, even though they are very much transformed. And that also makes sense about the 6 eyes guy here in the chapel of the first bell, because yeah, a lot of maidens went through there, including that one maiden, forgot her name, but who's here, who ends up at the chapel here, and she gives us something related to the chonky guys at the beginning, the guy not to trust. I forgot the names. Terrible names.
Big Hat Logan
Or
appears
better
to be
with
amongst
faces.
the prisoners of the archive. First, he was caught in Sen's Fortress, and it appears he has been captured once again. Once freed, Logan will move deeper into the library. Logan comments on the cruel experiments conducted by Seath, stating that all progress demands sacrifice, appearing to be in support of his actions, if the ends justify the means. He will now sell crystal sorceries to the chosen undead, boosted sorceries created with his newfound knowledge. He then unveils a secret to Seath's immortality.
Ah. The secret of Seath's immortality. If you have fought him and were in prison, you must know that Seath is a true undead, different from ourselves. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him, granting true insulation from death. It is an effect of the primordial crystal, a sacred treasure pillaged by Seath when he turned upon the ancient dragons.
Oh my gosh, I just realized something. Hold on. This is aside from Dark Souls, but you know how we were playing Wuchang the other day, and we fought those freaking oyster things in the jungle area? I feel like Wuchang definitely took the oyster idea from the oyster creatures in Seath's little cave here. I just put that together. And holy crap, Taylor Incarnate, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you. You found me during my Dark Souls journey, been a fan ever since. Just wanted to show some love and appreciation for the entertainment. Well, thank you so much, Taylor. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for the gift. Yeah. And then John says, oh my gosh, 22 plays have never opened that door. Here's the key. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that was my tangent. My ADHD brain just went to the oyster idea. Also, what Logan is talking about here is basically after Seath gained his immortality, he became a true hollow, which is interesting. That's interesting. I didn't realize that he was hollow when we fought him. I just thought he was he himself. A dragon, but I guess he gained hollow. He became hollow and in turn immortal. Wow, that's interesting. And Impale Rider, yeah, you mentioned their locations during that stream. Yeah, you probably did.
Only by destroying the primordial crystal can you so much as scratch his hide. And it so happens, the primordial crystal is in the inner garden of these very archives, the Crystal Forest.
Should the chosen undead acquire all of the sorceries on offer, Big Hat Logan will say the following.
Who are you? Stay clear of my work. Curses upon you. How dare you disturb me?
Whatever Logan learned in the Duke's archives drove him mad, as the knowledge he gained was too much to bear. He then navigates back to the first area where Seath was encountered. Here it appears that Logan has lost his sanity,
and he's
stripped
blue
of his clothing and fighting like a madman. It should be noted that Logan is
he's white. Never mind.
But instead,
he freaking stripped his clothing. We did not do this our first playthrough. I didn't know that was a thing we could do, is fight Logan.
Has actually lost his sanity. Just as Seath went mad after obtaining immortality, so did Big Hat Logan. Only his pursuit was for sorcery and spells, a woeful end to the famous sorcerer.
Yeah, he's been around for centuries,
behind, the chosen undead navigates through a small crystal forest. Here, we see crystal golems scattered around the area. One of the golems in particular is golden in color, identical to another in Darkroot Basin.
Yeah, I guess, John, like, Seath is officially hollow according to this and according to the items and lore descriptions in Dark Souls 1. He's hollow, but in achieving true immortality, you have to be hollow, I guess. And that's why he's able to heal his wounds and stuff so quick. But it's powered by the immortal crystal or whatever it said. The crystal that we have to break in that boss fight.
Once killed, a knight in a set of Katarina armor appears and states,
"It was you who rescued me."
Oh.
Why, thank you. Oh, have you seen my father? You
Wait,
would have
what?
him, a suit of armor just
We didn't
like
even
mine.
meet this person in our playthrough, I don't think.
Yes, she will say the following.
Thank goodness. I knew he was here somewhere. Well then, now I must find him. Thanks
Her
again,
voice is so
too.
high-pitched in that armor.
Siegland is in pursuit of her
Maybe
father,
we did meet her.
Siegmeyer. Why she is doing this, we cannot know at this time. Now
It's
in
been
the
a
Crystal
while.
Caves, the Chosen Undead encounters moonlight butterflies and more crystal golems. It is worth noting that these creations of Seath can also be found in Darkroot Basin. This is due to his interest towards Ulasil sorcery, as Ulasil became Darkroot Basin over time. Eventually, the Chosen Undead confront Seath the Scaleless. Only
They put
this
him
time,
down.
it appears that the Chosen Undead has stumbled across something of importance to Seath. So valuable is this item that Seath descends into the caves to protect it. In this room lies the primordial crystal, the secret of Seath's immortality. This object granted him the long life he desired. He was envious of the other dragons and their everlasting lifespan. However, with this crystal, he could replicate the immortality provided by the stone dragon scales. Using the knowledge obtained from Big Hat Logan, the Chosen Undead shatters the primordial crystal, turning Seath into a mortal. Should the Chosen Undead sever the tail of the beast, the Moonlight Greatsword will fall into their possession. The description of the sword notes that Seath is the grandfather of sorcery, making it clear as to why Big Hat Logan had a particular interest in Seath. It is also worth mentioning that sorceries, such as the Soul Arrow spell, are particularly effective against the stone scales of dragons, hinting that Seath pioneered sorcery to aid in the slaughter of his own kind.
Yeah, that was stated earlier that he did pioneer those sorceries and stuff by the, I guess, the other brother that was narrating before. But yeah, wait, see this hollow? We're all hollow down here. Hollowing and undeath are technically different in specific and convoluted ways. True, the chosen beast. I guess that is true.
No wonder the scholar sorcerers of Vinheim named their dragon school of sorcery the Vinheim Dragon School. The chosen undead then slays the pale dragon and obtains the bequeathed Lord Soul Shard given to him by Gwyn. We now move to New Londo Ruins to acquire
We
the
gotta
next
take on
Lord Soul.
the
Before
kings.
crossing the bridge, a hollow in chainmail armor can be seen. This hollow is the crestfallen warrior from Firelink Shrine. He left the shrine as he was sick of the smell produced by the serpent's framps. It seems that during his investigation to uncover the source of the smell, he turned hollow. Ironic that once he had somewhat a purpose, he lost his will to live. Moreover, several hollows can be seen worshipping something. Upon closer inspection, we can see that they are kneeling before the sunlight, emanating from a small crevice above, potentially signifying their devotion to the light.
That's interesting too, that the knight that we met at the beginning, he finally is inspired by us after we started ringing the bells. So inspired to get back on the horse and continue his quest just to become hollow. I think there's some serious irony in that. That's wild. And this is also sad too, that these people that worship Gwyn, I guess, are really holding on to that little bit of light emanating out of this cave. It's kind of sad as well. And John asks, so does that mean most of the bosses who are immortal, are they hollowed? I don't know. Maybe that's what but at the same time, maybe not all the bosses. Maybe not all the bosses. Maybe the gods are, man, I don't know. It seems pretty confusing, but I would think that hollowing in a sense is immortality. You might be insane and crazy, but I think that counts as immortality. Maybe not in the ways of the ancient dragons, but I think once you become hollow, you're immortal, basically. PG Lion asks, what's my favorite character so far lore-wise? Well, they haven't touched on Patches. Patches is my favorite character just for him being mischievous, but lore-wise, I think the Nameless King so far might be my favorite because he's so mysterious, and his reasoning for leaving his father and being stricken from the record pretty much, and it's theorized that he switched sides with, turned to the dragon side basically, makes him an interesting character, and I would like to know more about that character in particular. Hollowing can die over and over again. Mortal time and damage can't do anything to you in the context of the game. So if you're hollow and you die over and over again, yes, you die over and over again, but you still exist. So hollowing is a form of immortality, like Chosen Beast is saying, causing a degradation of the mind after each death. Yes. Yes. And Havel was hollow. Yes. Gods are immortal in the sense that they can continue to age and exist and can still be killed by outside forces. Yeah, I thought that that's why, yeah, I think that makes sense. That the gods are immortal. That makes sense. But Seath is not a god. He's a dragon. Oh my goodness, how does the Simpsons wrestling fit into all this? It is the key, Zaneth. It is the key, Savage, okay? Simpsons wrestling is the key to all of the dark signs and souls.
To Lord Gwyn. Exploring deeper in New Londo ruins, the Chosen Undead discovers ghosts haunting the area.
And ghost
These
busting we
ghosts can
did.
only be engaged when consuming a transient curse, as the only way to fight back against ghosts, who are cursed beings, is to become cursed yourself. Some of these ghosts can be seen holding babies and can cast lightning, miracles similar to Gwyn's bolts. Eventually, the Chosen Undead will come across a sealer known as Ingrid. He states,
New Londo was sacrificed to contain the Dark Wraiths. Mark my words, the Dark Wraiths are the enemies of man and any living thing that has a soul. They were never meant to roam again. The four kings slumber in the deepest chamber of the ruins. Use this key to break the seal and open the floodgates. Oh, and do not forget, the Dark Wraiths reside in a dark void called the Abyss. But the Abyss is no place for ordinary mortals. Although, long ago, the knight Artorius traversed the Abyss. If you can find him and learn from him, the Abyss may prove surmountable.
Ingrid seems to...
We did find him in the DLC. Chosen Beast says, Seath's immortality is caused by the primordial crystal, which undoes any wounds or damage he would sustain and prevents death. Hence his title as the true undead. He cannot die while the crystal exists. 3 different kinds of immortality discussed so far. My goodness. So many. So many. There should be one. But okay. It's interesting. It is interesting. And Artorius has been mentioned. And we did find Artorius, and we did figure out that he was consumed by the Abyss, and we had to put him out of his misery and free his soul. Even though, pretty sure it was gone at that point.
To think that Artorius is alive, a testament to how his true fate was erased from history. His dialogue also brings much needed clarity to the state of New Londo. But what exactly caused the city and its residents to descend into the dark? Ingrid answers this also.
When an evil serpent dangled the art of life drain before them, they were unable to resist and became pawns of evil.
Inspired by Anor Londo, the city was a home for the undead. Interestingly, the inhabitants of the city appear to respect the goddess of sin, Velka, as seen with the statues and items found throughout the ruins. Strange that the 4 kings may have potentially worshipped Velka, a goddess who was shunned by the other gods, whose mention was mostly confined to the painted world. Nevertheless, the city was ruled by the 4 kings who fell to the dark. It seems that the 4 kings were accepting of the power bestowed upon them by Gwyn. Gwyn most likely did not provide the 4 kings a piece of the Lord Soul out of generosity, but as a means to turn them to his side. Perhaps he knew of the rebellion brewing, how the 4 kings may have wanted to rid the world of God by utilizing the dark. Luckily, it was possible to flood New Londo entirely, should an uprising need to be quelled. Or perhaps it wasn't luck at all, and Gwyn had this purposely installed. It is doubtful that New Londo was created without Gwyn's consent. It was inspired by his city after all. Despite having received the bequeathed Lord Soul shard, the king...
Holy crap. Okay, so that was a lot of information. So we talked about it a little bit earlier on in the stream, but basically Gwyn's over here playing like 16 steps ahead chess with the world of Dark Souls pretty much, as he's just trying to continue the Age of Fire, the Reign of the Gods, and he's thinking that, you know, he already knew that, I guess, he was giving shards to the kings here because eventually that they would have to be sacrificed to continue the Age of Fire. That is so messed up. And he even had a failsafe for the freaking place being flooded and everything, and that was his doing. Goodness sake. And this was, I guess, a refuge similar to the painting, the painted world, for, I guess, people who were affected by the hollowing and the undead curse, and it wasn't allowed. I guess. This is interesting. It's getting deeper. More interesting. 3 kinds. Okay. 3D chess. He's playing 3D chess.
Kings were still tempted by the power of the dark. The spread of the dark gave rise to the Dark Wraiths, warriors who were once the knights of the Four Kings. Their armor appears to have crow feathers interwoven, another symbol of Velka. As always, when the Abyss and the Dark are mentioned, Karth is never far behind. The Four Kings and their knights were enticed by the words of the Darkstalker. How could they not be? After all, New Londo was a city of humans, living under the gods in an age which was rightfully theirs. Harnessing the power of the Dark Soul, the Dark Wraiths use their life drain ability to consume humanity from their enemies. Every Dark Wraith is part of a covenant of the same name, led by none other than the Darkstalker Karth. The power of life drain was feared by the gods, as evidenced by crossbreed Priscilla, who was locked away in the Painted World. This ability was taught to the Dark Wraiths and the Four Kings by Karth. It is possible that he learnt this power from Priscilla. Posing a significant threat, Ingrid and the other sealers flooded New Londo ruins, killing everyone within, including civilians.
My goodness, man, this is dark. Holy crap. People just trying to make their way in the world, man. Yeah, I think Pale Rider said it earlier, but he said it right. Like, there's no way to have a peaceful life and endure in this world. Like, goodness sake. It's like, there's always something. Like, there's always an end game for someone somewhere. And it is not good for those that just are seeking some peace and hope. It would be seen here. It's explained in the video.
Dark Wraiths and the Four Kings underwater, as they were too dangerous to confront. Thousands of corpses can be seen throughout the haunted ruins, indicating the devastation that took place. The Mask of the Sealer states, Mask of the sorcerers who flooded New Londo to seal away the Dark Wraiths and the Four Kings, who descended into dark. It symbolizes their resolve to keep the seal shut forever, and their atonement for all who were sacrificed. But two of the three forsook New Londo upon tiring of their duty. Interestingly, it appears that there were two additional sealers who abandoned their duties. One's attire can be found in Blighttown. The other can be seen accompanying Lordran in Londo, the abandonment of their mask signifying their desertion. Ingrid will then provide the chosen undead with the key to the seal to open the floodgates and drain the city, gaining access to the Four Kings. The key states, the sealers flooded New Londo to banish the Dark Wraiths and the Four Kings. The agonizing decision was made with the realization that countless lives and the robust culture of the city would be lost. The victims now roam the ruins as ghosts. With the covenant of—
Okay, well that makes sense of the ghosts. That's why we had to do some ghost busting. All right, that's even more interesting and more sad than I was led to believe. They aren't just freaking demonic ghosts. They're just people that were trying to exist here before everything was before they were destroyed.
Of Artorias in hand, the Chosen Undead descends into the Abyss, a familiar place. Here the Chosen Undead comes face to face with the Four Kings and defeats them. The once noble kings of New Londo are nothing but a memory. With the Four Kings bested, Karth makes an appearance for the first time. He departs some wisdom unto the Chosen Undead.
I can guide thee and illuminate the truth. Undead warrior, conqueror of the Four Kings, is this not your wish? To know the truth of men and the undead? The truth I shall share, without sentiment. After the advent of fire, the ancient lords found the three souls, but your progenitor found a fourth, unique soul, the Dark Soul. Your ancestor claimed the Dark Soul and waited for fire to subside.
So wait a minute, is the ancestor he's talking about, is that, is that the guy we fought in the Abyss? That was the original pygmy? Is that the... Yeah, that's the pygmy. So, what was his name? Start with an M? Magalus or something? Oh my goodness. Yeah, there's no winning in Dark Souls. Manus. That's the one I'm thinking of. Manus. Yes. So he's the one who found it. Goodness. Okay. So in a sense, Koth here, yeah, he has evil intentions and stuff, but he is explaining the truth to us, the real truth. The fact that Gwyn is a butthole and humanity has been kept down this entire time. The world we live in and the truth revealed will make things very depressing for us as the undead, even though I wasn't really understanding it at the time.
And soon the flames did fade, and only dark remained. Thus began the Age of Men, the Age of Dark. However, Lord Gwyn trembled at the dark, clinging to his age of fire and in dire fear of humans, and the Dark Lord who would one day be born amongst them. Lord Gwyn resisted the course of nature by sacrificing himself to link the fire and commanding his children to shepherd the humans. Gwyn has blurred your past to prevent the birth of the Dark Lord. I am the primordial serpent. I seek to right the wrongs of the past, to discover our true Lord, but the others...
Yeah, it's like all an illusion. Gwyn just made an entire illusion for us in humanity. Just that he's the golden child of the world. He's not, apparently. Manus is heavily theorized to be the initial pygmy, but is never outright confirmed. I think he might be. I don't know. The way that things are adding up here, I think it would be the case that he is the original pygmy, but I don't know. It is just speculation until Miyazaki straight up comes out and is just like, oh yeah, by the way, that's true. But I kind of like the idea that it's all theory. And he waited as well. The pygmy never tried to overthrow the gods, not once. And that's the thing, too. That makes Gwyn even worse. Huh. Thanks for mentioning it, though, Chosen Beast. I appreciate that. That's what I was thinking already, but you just stated it very well for me. Okay, so Kath, even though he states the truth, he has a sinister undertones with the darkness.
The serpent, Frampt, lost his sense and befriended Lord Gwyn. Undead warrior, we stand at a crossroads. Only I know the truth about your fate. You must destroy the fading Lord Gwyn, who has coddled fire and resisted nature, and become the fourth Lord, so that you may usher in an age of dark.
Karth provides an alternate objective to Kingseeker Frampt. To recap,
well, we didn't do that ending, did we? We freaking rekindled the flame like a freaking idiotic, straightforward player that we are. Like, I mean, and honestly, you wouldn't go the other path unless I guess you played it before. But yeah, I guess we kept the fire going in that one. Whoopsie! In Dark Souls, we shut it down though. Dark Souls 2, I mean. Good luck on getting a straight answer from Miyazaki. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Probably not. And Miyazaki will never confirm anything. He enjoys all the theories, only confirms things through lore of the next game. YouTube took a crap and you can't load any lives or videos? Oh, Seder Nair. Pirate Skeleton is back. You can also take the other path if you're edgy. I mean, that's what I would be wanting. Well, I mean, like, we took the Age of Fire path before, but I think I want to do the opposite in our next playthrough. I want to try and do the opposite. Yep, rekindled the flame like a sheep to the slaughter. You're absolutely right, Chosen Beast. I did do that. YouTube was taking piss for you earlier. Eventually fix itself. Goodness sake, YouTube, get your stuff straight. Who knows? I'm probably gonna get a flagged for copyright on this one, but who knows? We'll find out. Hopefully the algorithm will bless me this day. Be sure to leave a like and let YouTube know that it's okay.
Frampt states that the fate of an undead is to succeed Gwyn and extend the Age of Fire, but Karth reveals that this is a lie, a ploy from the gods to extend their age, to prevent the Age of Dark, also known as the Age of Humanity, a predicament indeed for the chosen undead.
Huh. Predicament indeed.
The chosen undead descends into the catacombs, located past the graveyard and Firelink Shrine. Skeletons inhabit the majority of the catacombs and can only be slain with either a divine weapon or by killing the necromancer that raises them. During the descent into the tombs, the chosen undead comes across trusty Patches.
Here's our boy!
Lordran warned the chosen undead previously that Patches is not to be trusted. He's a mischievous swindler who will stop at nothing to get the treasures
My favorite
he
character.
desires. Speaking to Patches reveals that he has a particular disdain towards clerics. Regardless, Patches will attempt to kill the chosen undead by flipping a bridge whilst they are still on it. Having survived this, the chosen undead can approach Patches, who will feign ignorance and give the chosen undead a soul of a lost undead, compensation for a crime he apparently did not commit. However, this is not the last we see of trusty Patches. Further,
I'm fairly certain Patches was in Demon Souls too, right? Like at least a variation of him. Also a variation of him was in Bloodborne. He was a spider guy, right? He had the face of Patches and a spider body. All I have to do in Dark Souls 1 is I have to get the other ending is walk out of the boss room. Alright, well. Seems simple enough, right? And he was. All likes given. Thanks so much, Tommy and John. You guys are the best. Patches isn't all from software games. That's what I was gathering so far.
Further down, the Chosen Undead encounters a blacksmith called Vamos. He appears to be a very reclusive smith, so reclusive in fact that no one else acknowledges his existence. Obsessed with his work, Vamos has little time for conversation, although not much is known.
Patches is an armored core? Really?
About this mysterious figure. The Royal Helm states the helm is believed to belong to...
Is he in... I don't think he's in Sekiro. We didn't find a Patches-like character in Sekiro, did we? Well, Patches is already on several from software games, same as the Moonlight Greatsword. Yeah, the Moonlight Greatsword was in Elden Ring. I do remember that. As well as Dark Souls. He is the true immortal. Yes, my favorite character, other than Solaire. Solaire is the plated favorite character of everyone. But my other favorite character is Patches.
To an ancient...
Patches is absent from Sekiro. Sad.
Royal line, but only Vamos would know for sure, and he shall never speak again. Unfortunately, Vamos has chosen to never speak of this, and so not much is known about the skeletal blacksmith. Deeper still lies a large coffin housing an...
Here's the freaking easiest boss in the freaking any Dark Souls game we've ever played. Pinwheel.
Entity known as Pinwheel. It appears that this being has 3 heads and 6 arms. When the Chosen Undead confronts Pinwheel, the heads appear to gaze at each other, as if they are deciding the fate of the Chosen Undead. Pinwheel turns hostile and prepares for battle. The creature is strangely fragile and falls with relative ease. Upon his death, he will either drop the mask of the father, mother, or child. The masks state that Pinwheel was a necromancer who stole the power of the Gravelord and reigns over the catacombs. Pinwheel also drops one additional item, the Rite of Kindling. The description states this secret rite allows bonfires to be bolstered further with kindling so that even more Estus can be collected. How peculiar that humans had found little use for humanity until they turned undead. The 3 masks worn by Pinwheel suggest that the frame is a combination of 3 bodies and minds. One theory is that Pinwheel was once a family that somehow fused together. Perhaps one of the family members died, and in an attempt to bring them back to life, they stole the power of the Gravelord and tried to revive their deceased loved ones. However, this resulted in a morbid resurrection. Surrounding Pinwheel is a vast collection of books and skeletons, all of which are ensnared in chains. One can even be seen laying on the operating table, almost as if the Chosen Undead had interrupted an experiment of some kind. Potentially, Pinwheel resurrected his family, but was finding a way to separate the 3 fused bodies.
And we totally just rained on his parade. Whatever, he was an easy boss to take out, and honestly, you shouldn't freaking experiment with necromancy anyway, Pinwheel. Goodness. What are you guys saying? Sekiro is pretty much on its own. From software multiverse of madness, Dark Souls lore is like emo D&D. Sekiro is a standalone. No evidence Sekiro is a separate universe. Sekiro could be the land of reeds. Pinwheel is kind of a freak, yeah. What if they all are connected? What if that's like Miyazaki's ideas? Like some way, shape, or form, they all are connected? Because pretty sure... Nah, that can't be right. What do I know? We gotta watch some lore videos and really piece it together ourselves or theorize ourselves.
To complete the process of resurrection, the Mask of the Father raises equipment load, representing how the father metaphorically, or perhaps even quite literally as Pinwheel, carried his family. The Mask of the Mother raises health, symbolizing how she raised the morale of the family. Lastly, the Mask of the Child raises the speed at which stamina is recovered, a symbol of a child's energetic nature. Pinwheel also appears to be someone of importance to Nito, as statues of him can be seen throughout the area. An empty coffin is also located next to Nito, suggesting that Pinwheel may have been the highest rank amongst those in the tombs. Another more compelling...
Which would explain why he's in charge of all the catacombs. That would make sense. Unless there's another theory about that. Good old dad build. There's a substantial portion of the fan base that has long theorized about how each game is connected and try to prove it via different videos. The From Software games could be the 9 realms of Yagadashi. Maybe so. I mean, I think it would be really cool if they were all connected some way, shape, or form. I wouldn't be surprised if Elden Ring at least was connected to Dark Souls some way, shape, or form, as I stated before, as maybe another realm, or heck, even Bloodborne. As I stated before, once again, earlier in the stream, in the DLC for this game, there's literally a Bloodborne character in that DLC. Everybody knows it. That character is built like he's from Bloodborne. It can't just be an Easter egg from Miyazaki about the coming game. there's got to be a way. It even hints in this video and on a particular item that apparently Nito seeks out death of other lords, like other hosts' lords or whatever, other phantoms coming to the host world. So that could mean there are other games of the other worlds. I don't know. It could just be me. I don't know. Well, many fan theories about the endings of Elden Ring to be connected to previous games, such as Ronnie ending connected to Bloodborne. The assets aren't always important. Okay. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to think about.
Compelling theory also exists. The effigy shield states, the followers of the occult once attempted to steal the power of the Gravelord, the first of the dead. Of course, we now know that Pinwheel was indeed successful in stealing the power of the Gravelord. Could it be that he was one of the leaders of the occult? Nito may have developed the rites of kindling in order to bolster the bonfires, as extending the Age of Fire would lead to the undead sacrificing themselves, leading to more deaths, which was his domain. The Way of White may have utilized this as well, in worship of Gwyn. Through this meticulous plan, Gwyn could continue to rule over the light, while Nito ruled over death. The Way of White was assisting Nito in retrieving the stolen rights, as evidenced by Rhea's journey. It is worth noting that Paladin Leroy, the first undead produced by the Way of White, assists the chosen undead in slaying Pinwheel, but will defend Nito, suggesting that he was only aiding in the retrieval of the rites of kindling. The rites also suggest that Gwyn and Nito worked together to ensure the Age of Fire would never end.
That's interesting. So Gwyn is willing to sacrifice the other ones, but him and Nito work together because in turn Nito will gain more death under his belt. That's I mean, Gwyn altogether is a turd ball, but that makes Nito even the second running for being the most turd ball, I guess. Turd muffin. Ronnie's ending leading to Bloodborne is largely only supported by her ending being the Dark Moon ending. The way Ronnie describes her ideal world has little to fit in with Bloodborne itself. Okay. But we'll get to those freaking lore videos eventually.
Further enforced by the existence of bonfires, which are created with the bones of the undead, a masterful plan to fool humanity into fueling the Age of Fire. No wonder that Pinwheel decided to steal the secret rites in order to prevent further kindling and ultimately to let the fires fade. Perhaps this is why he conducts experiments on the skeletons to better understand the process of death.
See, that's interesting because in a way, Pinwheel was the most chumpest boss that we fought and seemed like a turd ball to us, even if him being in the second, he's like the second commander in Nito's situation down there in the catacombs. But at the same time, it would be interesting to see him want to let the fire fade and the Age of the Gods end for humanity to rise back. It's interesting that there's all these little background details about these monstrosities that we fight in these games. And that there's humanity behind them. There's, actual emotional decisions behind them. I think that's really an interesting take on that, even though it may be a theory.
At this point, the chosen undead discovers the Tomb of the Giants, a pitch-black cavern filled with large skeletons. From this
Gotta head out, chosen beast. All right. Well, thanks so much for stopping by the stream. I appreciate it. Thanks for some of your insight. And yes, you have yourself a good night.
In the distance. It is here that the chosen undead bumps into Patches once more. Yet again, he
Patches!
tricks the chosen and sends them spiraling into a ditch.
A lovely
in this
turd
hole,
ball.
we discover Rhea of Thorland, as well as her two cleric knights, Vince and Nico, both
hollow.
of which have become hollow and attack the chosen undead, who swiftly puts an end to them. Strangely, Petrus appears to be absent. Rhea, now saved, returns to Undead Parish. It seems her mission to obtain the rites of kindling has failed. If Patches is left alive, he will return to Firelink Shrine, where he will sell all types of trinkets, including the armor worn by Vince and Nico. Patches will also warn the chosen undead about Petrus.
Wait, have you met Petrus? That self-proclaimed cleric? Believe me on this one, bruv, the man is scum. Don't you be fooled by his claims to do good. They're all the same, those rotten clerics.
All right, so apparently everyone's kind of hinting at the fact that Petrus is scum. We've been told that pretty much, or hinted at from the beginning of the game, that guy is not to be trusted. So that's true. He is a turd ball, and he is trying to continue the flame as well, not stump it out and let humanity rise up, because he is, I guess, in a sense, a follower of Gwyn's teachings, or whatever. Asper Flame says, none of the Souls-born worlds are connected directly. It's all subjective guessing. I think it's more that Miyazaki just likes refusing tropes and characters, or reusing characters in games, which makes them feel connected. That's true, but I like the idea that they all could be connected.
Rhea, at this point, can be discovered in the undead parish, where she is grateful to her savior and offers to sell miracles. If Petrus is informed of the rescue, he will state,
"Oh, it's you. You rescued milady. Well, a pity that is, for it will amount to nothing, for the little madam is not worth her salt without her family name."
This piece of dialogue foreshadows the events to come, as if left to his own devices, Petrus will venture into the undead parish and murder Rhea. On the other hand, if Petrus is killed after Rhea is saved, she will survive. There is also one other path. If the chosen undead acquires all the items Rhea has to offer, she will be kidnapped and taken to the Duke's archives, where it is discovered that she has become hollow. Sadly, the chosen undead cannot save her, but at least they could grant Rhea her final wish.
If I do go hollow, then finish me off, I beg of you.
It seems the pilgrimage she was ordained to complete was doomed from the beginning. Finally, the chosen undead can confront Gravelord Nito, the first of the dead. He appears to be coated in humanity, a hint.
Dude, this fight, I remember this fight, it sucked. We died quite a bit. It's just that run back, I think, in this fight that really sucked the most. Maybe not the boss itself, but my goodness, the skeleton army that spawns in this boss arena, dude, the Emperor Palpatine spins that they do at you is just wild and can end you really quick if you are not prepared.
To his goals of absorbing the power of the undead and working with Gwyn to suppress the human race. Just like any other lord, Gravelord Nito falls, and so his soul falls into the possession of the chosen undead. The very being that administers death to the world had fallen. Much of Nito's lord soul was offered to death, yet it remains powerful enough to satiate the lord vessel. Many years later, the Milfinito and Finito would continue the teachings of the great dead one. By singing, the Milfinito would reassure the dead, while the Finito safeguarded them, allowing them a peaceful slumber.
Interesting.
With 3 Lord Souls in possession, the chosen undead ventures into Los Izalith to obtain.
Even Quentin Tarantino made an extended universe, so it's just not a stretch that a Japanese fantasy writer would do the same. This isn't a wild idea. Yeah, you're right, Robert.
The final Lord Soul. This once great city was ruled by the Witch of Izalith, along with her daughters of Chaos. As mentioned previously, Lost Izalith has now become the birthplace of demons, a result of the witch who, in her blasphemy, tried to create another First Flame. Ironic that the Witch of Izalith was able to create new life, only this life was demonic and volatile.
Yeah, she transformed all these, or created all these demons that reside down here, and I'm over here thinking that they were just from the depths or the abyss or something as playing through, but she created them trying to, I guess, imbue a new flame, new type of flame, and also created the worst boss fight in any Dark Souls game I've ever played. The Bed of Chaos. That was nightmare fuel, dude.
Or was it? The demons of Izalith seem intelligent, as if they had carved out their own civilization in Lordran. Each demon has their role, working together to ensure the survival of their race, and defend their mother, the Witch of Izalith. Yet again, Gwyn's involvement may have played a role. Perhaps Izalith was a stable society.
We do need a remake of the Bed of Chaos. They definitely should. That would be really cool if, like, I know that they have a remaster of Dark Souls. They should remaster it again or remake it. I'd be down.
Society of demons before Gwyn dispatched his legion of Black Knights, initiating the demon war. One way or another, the war concluded, and Gwyn placed demons in his ranks, acting as transporters and jailers. This also raises an important question. If Gwyn never went to war with the demons, would they have ever posed a threat to his reign? Nevertheless, the Chosen Undead continues. Strangely, a centipede-like demon can be seen stalking the Chosen, a hint for the fight ahead. As the Chosen Undead navigates deeper into Lost Izalith, they come across the Demon Fire Sage, a creature very similar to the Asylum and Stray Demon. The Demon Fire Sage was the first demon and the last master of the original fire arts before the Witch of Izalith was engulfed by the chaos, creating pyromancy. After defeating the Fire Sage, the Chosen Undead encounters the Centipede Demon. Upon slaying the
always remember to cut this demon's freaking tail off. Get a cool item, I think.
Demon,
I remember
the Chosen
right.
received an orange charred ring, which states that the Ceaseless Discharge was a fool who readily dropped the ring, and from that spot, a terrible centipede demon was born, explaining why it is dropped by the demon upon its death. Further ahead, the Chosen Undead reunites with Solaire. At this time, his mind seems very far away.
Oh man. Okay, so this at this point, I think we're gonna figure out maybe a little bit more about Solaire and how to save him, which I really want to do in our next playthrough. I really want to do that. You get the charmed ring just from killing it too, the Esper Flame. Yeah, that's true. That's like what he stated in the video, but ooh, I'm excited about this. I want to know how to save Solaire without cheesing the freaking mites or whatever through the wall.
Why? Why? After all this searching, I still cannot find it.
Of course, he's referring to the sun, which he had been chasing ever since he set foot in Lordran. After navigating through the lava fields, we witness Solaire for the last time, with a parasitic organism embedded into his brain. He swings wildly, claiming that he had finally discovered his very own sun.
Finally.
This was so sad whenever we had to put him down, man. I did not like this at all. I messed up somehow.
Son. I am the sun. I've done it. I have. Yes, I did it. I did.
All I could say to Solaire while we were putting him down is, yes, you did, buddy. Yes, you did. Yeah, that sucked. That's why from the moment that we ended him, I wanted to find a way to save him in our next playthrough. No matter what happens, we will find a way to save our boy, our son, bro.
The Chosen Undead has no choice but to put the once-joyous knight out of his misery.
The one beacon of hope in these games.
My son, it's setting. It's dark. So dark.
Freaking sad.
Things could have turned out differently, however. Should the Chosen Undead choose to become a servant of chaos, they can unlock a shortcut into Lost Island.
And you do that by offering up 30 humanity to the spider chick there before we get there, and then it opens up that secret door. Okay. That's what we were talking about earlier in the stream.
Behind the doors lie several parasites, including
and
the
then we can
sunlight
kill
maggot.
them.
By using these shortcuts, the Chosen Undead is able to claim the sunlight maggots before Solaire and inadvertently save his life.
Oh, that's what we need to do.
Reads, when worn on the head, it emanates blinding light, which is why it's known as a sunlight maggot. Solaire can then be discovered for the last time, where he states,
Was it all a lie? Have I done this all for nothing? Oh, my dear son. What now? What should I do?
He will.
So that's, I know he's going to talk about it more, but that's all that he says. Literally, like, that's the end of it. He didn't get a happy ending. He just survives, but I mean, at least he'll survive. That's what I want. As for Flame says, to save Solaire, you got to join the Spider Lady's Covenant, open up the shortcut, Titanite Demon's Bridge, and get the bug before. Yeah, and we got to offer up 30 humanity to Spider Lady. Yeah, that's, the non-cheese way. Thanks, Brucey.
Forever be unaware that the Chosen Undead had saved him from madness. Advancing further into Lost...
But isn't that what heroes do? He doesn't have to know that we saved his life. I just want him alive, okay? I just want him alive. What do you guys say? Maybe the true happy ending isn't playing the game. Exactly, Lion. Maybe it shouldn't even be the undead, but then another one would rise up. One of you guys, man. It's always an undead to carry on something. Solaire does sort of get a happy ending. I mean, he lives. And then Vanda says, my first Souls game was Dark Souls 2 vanilla and then Dark Souls 1, and I understand why people hated that game, but I kind of love it, actually, except for the questionable level design. Marguerite.
Lost Islith, the Chosen Undead encounters Siegmeyer.
And once again, I failed this one too. We got Siegmeyer murked, but he went out like a champ.
Don't tell me. Those monsters making life difficult for you? You need not be ashamed. We're all in the same boat. I really have run up quite a debt to you. Perhaps the time has come.
Two choices lay before the Chosen Undead. They can slay all the Chaos Eaters and then speak with Siegmeyer, who will state,
Wait, did you defeat those dire creatures? Outstanding. You never fail to impress. This Knight of Katarina thanks you. I feel like I'm always thanking you. I curse my own inability.
On the other hand, the Chosen Undead can allow Siegmeyer to fight the Chaos Eaters alone, so that he can repay his debt to the Chosen Undead for assisting him on several occasions. However, if left to fight alone, Siegmeyer may fall. The Chosen Undead then jumps into the pit and aids Siegmeyer once again. The Onion Knight then states that he is grateful, however there is something somber about his response. One day, the Chosen Undead comes across the body of Siegmeyer, laying on the shores of Ash Lake. He is accompanied by his daughter who states,
Did we discover this in our playthrough?
All hollow now.
Oh.
He's been subdued. He will cause no more trouble. Oh, Father. Dear Father.
Sieglin.
Dude, this world is so sad, man. Boy, I don't think we discovered that. I don't think we went back to see that interaction. Brucey says, no, you can summon him before the Gwyn fight if he lives, which implies he finished his quest. I guess that could be a happy ending, I suppose. Perflane says, my issue with Dark Souls 2 is there's more technical beyond the poor level design. Got the location, but didn't finish his... Oh, yeah, that's... Well, because, like, I think he met his end against those freaking chaos beings. So we didn't get to talk to him after. So that's why I didn't progress. If we hop down with him and fight the things with him where he's not alone, that's whenever we can get, I guess, his daughter to find his body. But that's still freaking sad, man. We can't officially save him. We can't save anybody.
And came to Lordran in search of her father. Her goal was to deliver the last words of her mother, and fortunately was able to do so, before forcibly putting her hollow father to rest. His hollow state is a result of the Chosen Undead's continuous aid. Although they had saved Siegmeyer on several occasions, they unknowingly stripped the brave and honourable knight of his purpose.
Honor.
What good was he to anyone if he could not solve his own problems, or slay any creature alone? This dampened the morale of the Katarina Knight. His honour was no longer intact, and his worth as a knight dwindled in his mind. Siegmeyer, having lost his purpose and the will to live, became hollow.
That is so sad, man. So inevitably, like, letting him die like we did there, kind of in a sense, is his happy ending. So that is his happy ending. Like, he reinvigorated himself with honor, and he died honorably as a proud knight. Katarina. So, if anything, I gave him his happy ending, because inevitably he will turn hollow, I guess. Which is sad.
Turning to Izalith, the Chosen Undead edges closer to the witch. However, several obstacles remain. Firstly, a daughter of chaos, utilizing devastating pyromancies, defends the entrance to her mother's lair. This individual is revealed to be the eldest daughter of chaos, revealed by her chaos fire whip pyromancy, which states that it was wielded by the eldest of the daughters of chaos. During this fight, the Knight of Thorns, Kirk, can also invade this realm. After quickly dispatching the daughter, the Chosen Undead then deals with the knight. He first invaded in the depths, and then again in the demon ruins. This invader, who had plagued the undead's journey, is slain for the last time. His final resting place lies in Quilag's domain, near the Fair Lady. His armor reveals that Kirk was a notorious member of the Dark Wraiths. Kirk is also described as being murderous. Despite this, somewhere along his path, Kirk devoted himself to the servants of chaos.
That's interesting, because I hated fighting Kirk. He came back, or at least I think that same character came back in Dark Souls 3, right? Whenever we were in the Cathedral of the Deep. That's interesting, because the guy was a turd ball. I absolutely hated that invader. Freaking spiky turd ball. Freaking moocher of souls. What are you guys saying? The Orm fight with Onion Knight is the best feeling. I agree with you. That was sick whenever we were able to do that. Not the same Onion Knight, not the same Onion Bro from the first game, but it was still awesome. Wait, you can save Sunbro and fight the Sun God together? I guess so, John. I guess so. That is a happy ending. We gotta do it. We gotta do it our next playthrough. We gotta do it. And he's the same invader, but how is he the same invader? Because we kind of have to end him in this game. Why is he back in the third one?
Utilizing his strength as a Dark Wraith to pillage humanity and gift it to the Fair Lady. Why he did this is unknown. Either way, he had some sort of affinity towards the daughter of chaos.
He loved the Fair Lady. He loved her spider legs.
The path now cleared, the Chosen Undead descends into the lair of the Witch of Izalith. Here we see the fate of the once great witch. She has mutated into a tree-like creature, titled the Bed of Chaos.
Boss fight sucked!
Two seeds can be seen laying on either side of the Bed of Chaos, which could possibly be two of her daughters. Perhaps these two were the closest in proximity to the witch, when she attempted to create an artificial first flame. Destroying the two seeds reveals a path to the core of the Bed of Chaos. Slashing through the branches, a small parasite is discovered within. This creature is all that is left of the Witch of Izalith.
Interesting.
The Chosen Undead slays the creature with a single stroke, and chaos is unleashed. Chaos, which would spiral out of control and eventually go on to consume the Ivory King and his loyal knights. The demon civilization no longer maintains.
Dark Souls 2 call out, right? Dark Souls 2 call out right there, the Ivory King. And then Pale Rider. Time is fluid in Dark Souls. Solaire talks about this fact. See, that's what's interesting to me. Time is fluid. So it's just like everything just kind of melds together, which is kind of what happens in Dark Souls 3 at the end of Dark Souls 3. It's like everything just kind of melds together. It's weird. It's weird to wrap your head around that. But yeah, Dark Souls 2 reference there with the Ivory King. After, I guess, the Bed of Chaos is destroyed, the events of that continue with the Ivory King and our adventure with them in Dark Souls 2.
Maintained by the Bed of Chaos would eventually die out, and an old demon king would be the last living witness of the chaos of Izalith. And with that, all the lords had fallen, and only Gwyn himself remains.
To put him to rest. And then we got Artorias. Ulasil and the Abyss. Let's learn about the Abyss. Manus.
To tell the tale of the Abyss, we must first travel back in time, centuries ago, to a land called Ulasil, an ancient land of sorceries swallowed by the Abyss. The Enchanted Ember, a vestige of the lost land of Ulasil, suggests that the once great city had fallen. During the Chosen Undead's journey, they are taken to the depths of Darkroot Basin,
freaking
where a
Hydra
and a slew of crystal golems occupy the area.
This freaking Hydra was the bane of my existence too. We kept falling to our freaking death in the water. It's like being very careful against the edge. But that was still fun to finish that guy off. That was cool. And yeah, we're getting into Artorias and the talks about Ulasil, which was probably, I really liked that DLC. It was just the colors were so vibrant until you got to the Abyss parts. But it was a very interesting DLC. Glad we played through that one.
Once the creatures have been slain, a golden crystal golem can be discovered behind the Hydra. Unlike the others, this particular golem is unique, as it houses a person within. After the golem has been defeated, the Chosen Undead can summon the once captive individual to their world. Doing so reveals that this person is Dusk, the princess of Ulasil.
I am Dusk of Ulasil. I cometh from an age long before thine. I cannot stay here for long. So, before I disappear, allow me to ask one thing. My home, Ulasil, is the home of ancient sorceries. My hope is to pass this profound knowledge to thee, with thine approval. Would this be of assistance to thee?
Dusk.
Yeah, I remember Dusk. I remember saving her, and she's the key to the DLC and all that. Which I'm pretty sure she's time fluid. I think she's from a time that's either future or past. I'm sure that will be touched on here. It wasn't the Hydra, it was the deep water that Bass couldn't handle. You're absolutely right. And Bale Rider says, if I wouldn't have, I could have used a bow to hit the heads. Yeah, true. And I'm probably somebody dropped that tip for me, but you know me, I'm thick-brained, thick-headed. Also, we weren't streaming that fight. It was like after the fact that I read those comments.
Explains that she is not in the correct time, and that the Ulasil sorceries differ to the ones utilized by the Chosen Undead. The sorceries she sells are better suited for utility, rather than for offensive purposes. She goes on to explain that her land Ulasil was reduced to ashes. It is unclear how the princess left her land and travelled forward in time.
Forward in time, so yeah,
after all. But one
we
thing
gotta
is
go to
for
the
certain,
past.
the sorceries of Ulasil are unusual, and unknown even to the scholars of Vinheim. It is important to note the summoning location of Princess Dusk. It appears that the land of Ulasil closely resembles that of the present-day Darkroot Basin. The Royal Wood in particular bears resemblance to Darkroot Garden. This suggests that over time, due to lack of maintenance, the land was slowly consumed by vegetation.
Yeah, I definitely remember us talking about that too in the series whenever we were covering Dark Souls 1, that Ulasil was in the past, and the current garden is obviously what happened as time went on. Because Ulasil is much more vibrant, much more put together, and then obviously now everything's kind of overgrown, and trees are everywhere, and the forest is what forests are, and they're just bountiful trees. Ulasil specialized in light magic, and in an item description points out light magic is time manipulation. Oh. Well, there you go. Time is fluid.
Resulting in a dimly lit forest. With the princess rescued, the Chosen Undead can obtain a broken pendant from the Duke's archives, once again protected by a crystal golem. Seath may have wanted to study the pendant for its magical properties. This object is half of a broken stone pendant. The vine appears to originate from Ulasil. A powerful magic can be sensed from this ancient stone, yet men of this time can neither manipulate nor sense its power, which has...
Well, there you go. I'm pretty sure what Esper Flame just kind of talked about is from this item. I think the magical item. Broken pendant.
A distinct air consisting of both reverence and nostalgia. With the pendant in hand, the Chosen Undead can now continue to Darkroot Basin. Doing so results in a portal appearing. Approaching this gateway results in the hand of Manus reaching out through time and space to grasp the pendant, pulling the Chosen Undead a few hundred years into the past. What meaning this pendant holds is unknown. Perhaps it is a relic of Manus' humanity. The first obstacle to overcome before...
Well, regardless, we kick Manus' freaking booty cheeks. And then we get met with a frickin' manticore.
Setting foot in the land of Ulasil is the Sanctuary Guardian. This creature is a white-winged lion, Sanctuary Watchkeeper, who dreaded the spread of the Abyss. Upon closer inspection, we can see that the Guardian is a hybrid of various animals, as it has the features of a lion, goat, a scorpion-like tail, and a set of wings. A ferocious guardian of the land. Once defeated, the chosen undead can venture into Ulasil's sanctuary. In this sanctuary, we discover Elizabeth, a giant mushroom. Her appearance is similar to that of the mushroom parents discovered in the Great Hollow and Darkroot Garden. However, she cannot move and has no limbs. Perhaps the mushrooms evolved over time
to grow legs and arms. Wow, mushroom evolution. That is awesome. Did I fight the couple manticore Bass? Double manticore? I think so. I think we did. I think I had Havel's armor on for that. I think we did. I'd have to look back the video. That was a while ago that we played Dark Souls 1, but I think we did.
When speaking to Elizabeth, she states,
"Well, look at this one. From what faraway age hast thou come? Thy scent is very human indeed, but not intolerable. Ah, Princess Dusk's savior. Thine aura is precisely as she described. I thank thee deeply for rescuing Her Highness, but Princess Dusk is here no longer, snatched away by that horrifying primeval human. And so I must ask, couldst thou once more play the savior?"
It even says right there in her dialogue, like the primeval human, so meaning that he at one point was a human. Primeval meaning probably original human, as we've all been talking about and theorizing about, that he probably was the first pygmy. And Sater says a Guardian you believe is one of the hardest bosses in Dark Souls 1 to speedrun because he can take a bunch of time or one-shot me. Yeah, I remember that fight sucked. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Dialogue confirms the chosen undead has travelled through time. It also confirms that Dusk has been kidnapped by a primeval human. She then goes on to state that she is the guardian of the sanctuary, acting as a godmother of sorts to Dusk.
"An abyss was begat of the ancient beast, and threatens
Time is fluid, John.
To swallow the whole of Ulasil. Knight Artorius came to stop this, but such a hero has nary a murmur of dark. Without doubt he will be swallowed by the abyss, overcome by its utter blackness. Indeed, the abyss may be unstoppable. Still, I have faith that Princess Dusk may be rescued yet."
Here we learn that the primeval human, the ancient beast, has brought ruin to Ulasil, and that Knight Artorius, one of the 4 Knights of Gwyn, was dispatched here to rescue Dusk from the beast, and in turn, halt the spreading of the abyss. Elizabeth appears doubtful of his success, but she still has faith that Dusk may be rescued. She also confirms that the chosen undead was not the only person pulled through time.
Not long ago, I had another visitor. A human like thyself.
There you go.
From a faraway
Bloodborne.
time.
Bloodborne.
Only he was dreadfully odious, and I'm afraid that he is still amongst us.
By the time of Drangleic, Elizabeth was revered as a saint that devoted her life to help.
I'm telling you, pulled through time. Other plane of existence. That character is from Bloodborne.
Helping the needy by concocting medicine and potions.
I choose to believe it.
Was matched only by her sublime beauty, but who can say now? It seems knowledge regarding Elizabeth has changed over time,
as she turned into a mushroom.
Sublime beauty, even though she is a mushroom. Everyone has their own taste, I suppose. Her corpse is eventually discovered in Farron Keep, indicating that she never abandoned her duties. Beyond the sanctuary.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So in Farron Keep in Dark Souls 3, her corpse is there. I didn't realize that. I mean, there are mushrooms and stuff within the Farron Keep, hinting at the Ulasil origins back in Dark Souls 1. But I didn't know Elizabeth was in that cave and that loot that we grabbed, because I do remember getting loot from that chest. Didn't realize that she was in there dead. Sad. Mushroom deaths.
Lies the royal wood. Traces of the abyss can be seen throughout the wood, as well as magical elevators constructed by the residents of Ulasil. Many monuments from the time of the royal wood can be seen in Darkroot Garden, further enforcing the notion that the two areas are one and the same. As the chosen undead navigates the forest, they encounter a large black dragon who briefly lands on a bridge before flying off into the distance. Nearby, the chosen undead comes across an individual called Marvelous Chester. His appearance is similar to the description provided by Elizabeth. Chester confirms he was pulled through time.
Let me guess. Snatched by a shadowy limb and dragged off to the past? We ought to help one another out.
His appearance is unique, sporting a black long coat and a top hat with a mask. Although he talks as if he is trustworthy, he will attempt to invade the world of the Chosen Undead further down the line. He chooses to use a sniper crossbow as his weapon, a large crossbow with a long distance used by Kareem snipers. This suggests he is from the Kingdom of Kareem. If he is killed while invading, he will still sell items to the Chosen Undead, albeit reluctantly. He will also share some key information to the Chosen Undead, providing context to the events that took place in Ulasil.
Believe it or not, Ulasil has brought the abyss upon itself, fooled by that toothy serpent. They upturned the grave of primeval man and incited his ornery wrath. What could they have been thinking? But to you and I, it's all ancient history. You have to ask yourself, does it really matter?
The toothy serpent.
It does! We can change the course of history! John says, wait, real question. You finished the DLC a couple times. Is the dragon one you can fight? Yes, you can fight the dragon. But the dragon fight is better than the ancient dragon from Dark Souls 2. Never have I fought the... You never fought the dragon, John? You gotta go fight the dragon.
Is most likely Darkstalker Karth.
I fought that in the series.
The Kingdom of New Londo was not the only city to fall due to Karth's involvement, as it appears.
But that was thanks to everyone commenting and stuff. I probably would have not known how to get to the Dragon's Arena if I didn't get some help from all of you guys in the community.
Ulasil had suffered a similar fate. It seems that Karth had manipulated the mind of many for centuries. He wanted to harness the dark to overthrow the gods and usher in a new age of darkness. The folk of Ulasil could not avoid the temptation of power and chose to disturb the grave of the primeval human Manus, also known as the Father of the Abyss. In turn, this resulted in the spread of the Abyss. The wrath of Manus could not be contained, and soon the residents would warp into servants of the dark, and bodies of humanity would emanate from the abyss below. Manus was potentially a sorcerer from Ulasil, as all dark spells reference an Ulasil sorcerer on the brink of madness. Just like any other human.
Camel meat! You can actually fight Calamite without having him shot down. It's very difficult though. Oh. After dying to the dragon once, go talk to the giant. Yeah. Manus, the hands of fate. The first pygmy, I choose to believe.
Manus eventually died and was buried deep below Ulasil. His burial signifies he may have been someone of importance, as his grave is encircled with stones in the ground. Some suggest that he may have been the original furtive pygmy. To be furtive is to avoid attention. He died alone away from sight, only for his remains to be defiled. He could also be one of the many pygmies who was trapped in the Ring City, only to escape to the land of Ulasil, where he would one day die. Even after his death, remnants of his humanity remain, as he reached through time to retrieve his pendant. Turning now to Artorius, the Abyss Walker, Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, feared the dark, as it threatened his age of fire, the age of gods. The encroaching darkness was a sign of the rise of humanity, and so he tasked one of his knights, Artorius, to traverse the abyss, rescue the princess, and slay the source itself. Artorius was well equipped to deal with the abyss, and was the most suitable knight for the task at hand. His greatsword was designed to strike harder against dark servants. He was also accompanied by the great grey wolf Sith, who was much younger during the event of Ulasil. In addition, Artorius was also in a covenant with the beasts of the abyss. Ultimately, Artorius was bested and was forced to withdraw. A trail of abyss substance leading from the chasm of the abyss to Artorius' location highlights his path of retreat. By the time the Chosen Undead reaches the knight, he is nothing but a husk of his former self, a once great knight corrupted by the abyss, as confirmed by his armor. The death of the armor's owner can be surmised from the corrosive dark of the abyss, and the tattered azure blue cape, once a symbol of pride and glory. Artorius, in his madness, still appears to be hunting the servants of the dark, even after his death, signifying that some of his ideals have been retained. His left hand is limp and mangled, as he left his great shield behind to protect Sith from the abyss. Artorius did manage to crawl out of the chasm, but it was too late. The Chosen Undead frees Artorius, but the legend of the Abyss Walker does not die with him. However,
that is wild. Artorius really is the GOAT, man. Jeez. And Taylor says, you'd just like to share that this is your first time actually sitting and enjoying a stream for more than just a few minutes. You're locked in here. Well, I'm glad you're sticking around, Taylor. I appreciate it. PG Lion says, did I ever play Elden Ring Night Rain? I did play Night Rain for a little while when it came out, but I stopped playing just because, I don't know, other games I wanted to play. And John says, that fight was the first fight where you felt Elden Ring-ish. Well, I bet at the time nobody knew what was to come, what Miyazaki was cooking with Elden Ring. But Yeah, I think we all agree Artorias is the GOAT. He even left his great shield behind to protect his little pupper, but wasn't able to pick her up and take her out.
Version of events contradicts history. If Artorias fell to the abyss,
I think, too, on our next playthrough, I think what we're going to do is we're going to try to do the DLC first, like some people have already suggested, and we're going to go see about saving Sif first, before we actually fight her, unfortunately, in the main game, and see that cutscene where she recognizes us and stuff, just for the sake of it.
Then how was Dusk of Ulasil saved? How was the spreading of the abyss halted? Why do item descriptions and the testimonies of individuals refer to Artorias as the savior of Ulasil? The legend of Artorias the Abyss Walker is nothing but a myth. In truth, the chosen undead would navigate through Ulasil Township, fighting the endless onslaught of servants of the dark, and eventually they would descend through the dungeon into the chasm of the abyss. There they would discover Alvina, who would guide the chosen undead to a young Sith, protected by the veil of Artorias'
Gotta
shield.
save her.
Sif accompanies the chosen undead as he once did Artorias, and together they would put Manus to rest.
Oh yeah. And by the way, Sif is so much smaller in the past. I guess wolves in this world just keep growing, because Sif is massive in the main game, or at least 100 years into the future. Artorias is the blueprint to big armor bosses in the rest of the Souls games. And then Peachy Lion says, do I have a build I mind for my next playthrough, or some old bonking build? No, it's Peachy. It's gonna be probably a mix between strength and intelligence. So I'm going to be working on being a magical build. I swore that I never would be, but you guys keep hyping it up, so I might as well try it. My enemy is the cheater build, but we might as well try it out for ourselves and see how it is.
The soul of Manus is described as a lukewarm lump of gentle humanity. Upon closer inspection of the soul, we can see humanity at its center, as well as dark sprites emerging from within. It also goes on to state that ancient Manus was clearly once human, but he became the father of the abyss after his humanity went wild, eternally seeking his precious broken pendant. Potentially the pendant was pillaged from his grave, although this is never confirmed. Tragic is the tale of Artorias, the knight famous for his prowess in the abyss, who could not halt the corruption in Ulasil. Even in New Londo, dark wraiths remain to this day. Perhaps the abyss is insurmountable. Regardless, the legend of Artorias would ripple through the ages, giving rise to Farron's undead legion, the Abyss Watchers.
That's
fighters
interesting.
Who embody Artorias' combat style and fight the abyss both in life and in death.
See, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Maybe some people put that in the comments, but I did not put that together myself. They are literally called Abyss Watchers, and Artorias is literally the fighter of the Abyss. So they are linked together. That's really cool. I did not realize that. And even his fighting style, I did not realize. What's up, Solus Bedlam? Welcome to the stream. We're just trying to wrap our brain around some Dark Souls 1 lore. Having a good time doing it. How you doing today?
Returning to Artorias' location, the chosen undead discovers a woman kneeling and paying respects to the deceased. This individual is Kiran, one of Gwyn's knights. If the chosen undead speaks to Kiran, with the soul of Artorias in their possession, she will say,
"You, is that not the soul of the man who fell on this spot? He was a dear friend. I wish to pay proper respect with that soul. Would you be willing to part with it?"
If given to her, she will offer a pair of gold and dark silver traces in exchange. It is not clear whether she was romantically involved with Artorias, or if she just had great respect for her fellow knight. If slain, she will cry out,
"You humans, my dear Artorias."
This statement insinuates they may have been linked romantically. Either way, she's one of the few that knew the truth regarding the legend of Artorias. With Manus put to rest.
That's interesting. Who thinks here that they were romantically intertwined, or they were just friends? In my opinion, I think that they were just friends. I never murked her or anything, but maybe she was just like going to his grave to pay respects, and she was thankful to us for putting him out of his misery, and since he was consumed by the abyss.
Elizabeth states the following:
"Thou hast rescued Princess Dusk and rid us of that terrible primeval human, even halting the spread of the abyss."
They were crushing Shirley Pirate. Ad! Oh, Health Pilot. Oh, I care so much.
"I salute the grandeur of thine enterprise. I thank thee, as do we all. I will remember thee, but I will keep thy story to myself. This is the best way, for thou art come from a time far ahead. No one will sing thy praises, but yet thy greatness shall live on, for it shall be my purpose to remember all thou hast done for us.
The true savior.
That's amazing right there, because in essence, as I stated before, isn't that what heroes do? We are a hero. No one needs to know about what we did, because we're the hero. We're the good guy. Pale, John thinks that they were a couple in his head. Pale Rider thinks they believe they were together since it would fit the regular tragedy of Dark Souls. Yeah, probably. You're probably right. It's all sad, depressing.
Savior of Ulyssil returns to their present day, where they can converse with the dusk.
This may strike thine ear as somewhat peculiar, but long ago, in my homeland of Ulyssil, I was beset by a creature from the abyss. I would have perished then, were it not for the great knight Artorius. In truth, I saw little of what transpired, for mine senses were already fled. But even still, there was something about Artorius, a certain balance of the humors that quite perfectly fits your semblance. Heavens, could it be that? Oh, dear me, that was Ulyssil, many centuries ago. Please excuse my fanciful musings. Only, it was so very odd. You and Artorius, I owe my life to each of you, and both seem to share some resonance of sorts. Perhaps it is the nature of true greatness. I still think on that creature from the abyss that preyed upon me. My faculties were far from lucid, but I quite clearly sensed certain emotions. A wrenching nostalgia, a lost joy, an object of obsession, and a sincere hope to reclaim it. Could these thoughts belong to the beast from the abyss? But if that were true, then perhaps it is no beast after all. It's just that I wish to know the truth, and no one, not even loving Elizabeth, will tell me.
It's a pit.
It would seem she's insinuating that she may believe we are Artorius. I don't know. No, Artorius was down there, but so were we. And maybe that's just what she means. Or maybe we are the legend of Artorius. We are why there is a legend of Artorius. I don't know. And Manus was, yes, he was after his pendant, so there was a legit shred of humanity within him clutching that pendant, seeking that pendant. So yes, there was something within him that was more than a beast, to say the least. Bars.
It appears that out of respect for Artorius, Elizabeth hid the truth from the world, although Dusk notices the striking similarities between Artorius and the Chosen Undead. She also recounts that Manus did have emotions after all, an essence of his humanity remained, symbolized by his desperation to retrieve the broken pendant. Alvina also confirms in the present day that the story of Artorius is none but a fabrication and a fairy tale, although she still respects Artorius. Many bandits and adventurers seek the treasures left behind at the grave of the Abyss Walker. Alvina tries to sway people away in order to preserve his legacy and safeguard Sif. When approaching the grave of Artorius, despite centuries having been passed, an adolescent Sif still recognizes the Chosen Undead.
Tears.
They did fight side by side in the abyss after all. Howling in anguish, Sif reluctantly picks up his master's sword and prepares for battle.
Oh, tears. Sadness. Why? Oh, why do we have to put the pupper down?
The Great Grey Wolf does not want you to traverse the abyss and succumb to its corruption, and so fights against the Chosen Undead. For the Chosen Undead is bound by fate to obtain the covenant of Artorius to traverse the abyss once more.
That is so sad, man. That is so sad. Literally does not want you to get the same fate as her master. Oh my goodness. It tries to deter you away. That is depressing. Why do we have to kill the nice pupper? Sif swore an oath to protect their master's grave. Oh my goodness.
During the journey to the past, the Chosen Undead comes across another knight of Gwyn, Hawkeye Goth, a giant who wields a bow to pierce dragons, a crucial ally to Gwyn. Sadly, Goth has been trapped in this tower, as some look down on his kind. Furthermore, Goth appears to be blind, however his lack of vision is due to his helmet. It appears that the eye holes have been filled with tree resin by those who dismiss Goth as a brutish giant. He recognizes the Chosen Undead as the one who freed Artorias, and thanks them for allowing him to leave this world with his honor intact. Goth also confirms Chester's version of events, that the townsfolk of Ulasil were persuaded by a dark serpent and brought about their own ruin. From Goth, we learn that the dragon witnessed previously is in fact Calamite. Even if the City of Gods were
Calamite! That was a rough battle, but we did beat that freaking thing.
not confront the beast, Goth will assist the Chosen Undead in taking down the Black Dragon. With the greatest of great bows in hand, Goth fires an arrow into the sky, piercing the dragon and forcing it to land. It is important to note that Calamite is referenced as the last of the ancient dragons, an interesting choice of words, considering the everlasting dragon and Seath the Scaler still exist. Nevertheless, Calamite's life is one of solitude. The Chosen Undead ventures to the location of the grounded dragon and engages the beast. Calamite, the bringer of calamity, is slain. After his death, a faction called the Dragon Knights would be born. Harnessing the scales of the dead dragon, they forged weapons and armor. These items prove the existence of Calamite, a dragon many consider nothing but a mere legend. And so Calamite, in a land devoid of dragons, had to die to prove his own existence.
Kiln of the First Flame. I have a feeling that this is the final chapter. Yep, it would seem that it is. Hold on here. Taylor says, never realized that we, the Chosen Undead, actually saved Ulasil and Dusk from the Abyss in the past, while Artorias received the credit. Yeah, so pretty much the legend is for Artorias, but we did what the legend is about, which is interesting. And then Soulless Bedlam. Well, since we're watching Dark Souls lore, Bass, would you be intrigued by a soul frame key? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean.
The Chosen Undead's pilgrimage is close to its end. Offering the Lord Souls to the vessel results in the opening of a gateway. A blinding white light beckons the Chosen Undead. Here lies the final gauntlet. A myriad of phantom knights patrol the entrance, but pose no threat. The souls of those who are disembodied by the flame. Crossing this stairway leads to the kiln of the First Flame, a wasteland.
And so what you guys were telling me is that pretty much to get the opposite ending of what we got previously is to pretty much walk away from this boss fight, right? Like, and that's pretty much making the world descend into darkness, snuffing out the flame, or wait. What did we do? I'm pretty sure we continued the flame. We did not snuff out the flame, because we defeated Gwyn and then continued the fire. So yeah, the other option would be just to walk away.
And coated in ash, evidence of the ferocity at which the flame once burnt. Black Knights defend the area. However, they pose little threat to the Chosen Undead, the Slayer of Lords. These knights were stationed to protect Gwyn as he linked the flame. On a narrow bridge, a suit of Black Knight's armor can be obtained. The knights followed Lord Gwyn when he departed to link the flame, but they were burned to ashes in newly kindled fire.
Well, Soulless, I don't usually like receiving keys from people I don't really know well, but I have seen your name around the channel, so maybe I could trust thee. As long as it's not a mysterious link, that could be interesting to try out a game that's not released. I suppose, if you have a key, I'd be down. Walk away after the fight and bring out the Age of Humanity. Dark Souls 3 does the endings better because you actually need to do things to unlock them. In Dark Souls 1, it didn't really matter since the choice only happened at the end. Oh yeah, gotcha. Nope, it's a code key, so no links. Yeah, sure, shoot it to me on Discord, man. I'd appreciate it. I'll check it out. And if you guys want to see a video or stream a video on that, we could try that out. I don't know what is it? A Dark Soul-esque game from DE, currently in beta. So those are the same people like that created Warframe, right? I'd be interested in trying. We are playing Warframe right now.
Wandering the world as disembodied spirits ever after. Delving deeper, a golden summoning sign can be seen before the final gate. This sign belongs to Solaire. Although he could not discover his own son, he pressed on. As an undead, just like many others, he would conclude his pilgrimage by setting himself ablaze. All that remains is to venture through the fog one last time, to face the Lord of Sunlight himself. At the heart of the kiln, next to the fabled First Flame, stands Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder. For only cinders remain of the once great Lord. His appearance is representative of the sacrifice he made, and the depths to which he delved. To keep the flame from extinguishing, his family splintered, and his firstborn banished, Gwyn had no choice but to link the fire with his own body. Offering much of himself to the flame resulted in him being stripped of his power and the decimation of his own army. His famous miracles of lightning are absent in this duel. The chosen undead, with or without Soler's aid, would put an end to the Lord of Light. However, the machinations of Gwyn would continue through the ages, as many Lords of Cinder would continue to link the fading flame. Eventually,
that is true. That is true. So Gwyn's legacy, whether we wanted it to happen or not, continued on regardless of our actions in Dark Souls 1, in a sense. So Gwyn, his turdball self, selfish self, in a way was selfless and sacrificed himself to continue the flame, which just is still kind of lame, because he just wants the gods to reign forever, and not let humanity rise up and keep them in the freaking shadows. But I still believe Gwyn to be a complete turdball. Complete turdball playing 3D chess, or 6D chess, whatever. And then Dead Space 2 was the next for after clearing up the plate. Well, yeah, John, you're right. You're right, but I could look into this game that Solus is talking about and maybe just record it on my off time, mayhaps. Still stream Dead Space 2, mayhaps.
Eventually, this would result in the creation of the Soul of Cinder, a physical manifestation of all that had linked the fire. Two options now lay before the chosen undead. Do they link the fire and prolong an age that
or
may one
walk
day die
away
and fulfill the wishes of King Seeker Framt? Or do they turn their back on Gwyn, as he once did to mankind, and allow the flame to fade? Should the fire be linked, the chosen undead is consumed by the inferno, and their powerful soul fuels the fire for many ages hence.
Which is freaking not what we want, because then the gods will reign over humanity once again. So that's what I did in our first playthrough. I will not be doing that again. And Sater, you're saying I should try Mortal Shell? It's super tough. If I want a Souls-like game, I actually played Mortal Shell. I actually did that a while ago. Whenever that one, I don't know when it came out, but I did beat that a while ago. But it was a fun game. That was a fun game. I love Souls-likes, man.
Should they choose to deviate from the undead pilgrimage, they can walk away from the flame, where many primordial serpents have gathered to greet the chosen undead. Among these serpents is Karth and Framt. Strangely, Framt kneels before the Dark Lord and offers their service, suggesting the serpent had a change of heart. Or perhaps Karth and Framt were never truly rivals, and regardless of the outcome, they would benefit from the struggle of those around them, as these imperfect dragons appear to have outlasted the everlasting dragons and the gods themselves. Nonetheless, the chosen undead now rules as a Dark Lord, reigning over the approaching age of dark. How did the fate of Lordran come to this? Gwyn refused to let the Age of Fire end, and as a result committed the first sin. By linking the fire and denying the transition of the ages, Gwyn halted the undeniable course of nature. The Age of Fire should never have been extended, yet it was. Even if the chosen undead rules over an Age of Dark, embers will always remain, and those faithful to the Lords will forever embark on a pilgrimage to link the first flame, resulting in a paradox. The Age of Fire can never truly end.
Yeah, it's a bit of a catch-22 here, just continuation after continuation, which is wild.
And the Age of Dark can never prosper. The two struggle to coexist, yet how can there be light without dark? Still, the Lord of Light tried to banish it. In the words of Karth, the furtive pygmy waited for the fire to dim, but this never occurred. But can we trust the word of the devious serpent? The cycle is infinite, a fabricated timeline of distortion. Even if the darkness settles, one day, tiny flames will dance across the darkness, like embers linked by the Lord's past. This world can no longer be inherited by humanity. Hopefully, one day, someone can paint a tranquil world for those who remain. In the constant battle between the light and the dark, perhaps we must ask ourselves what lies beyond it.
Interesting.
Pride, hatred, rage. The dragons teased out our dearest emotions. Lead thy life as thou seest fit. Farewell, human.
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. Well, now you know. I can die with hope in my heart.
Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Oh my goodness. Yeah, at the beginning of Dark Souls 3, that's like pretty much one of the guys. Oh, I'm an idiot. I never realized that. That's one of us trying to reignite the flame.
If you require rest,
that we
now
looted from.
That is, after all, what the bonfire is for.
When I gave you that flame, I gave you a part of myself. Please take good care of it. Be safe, friend. Don't you dare go alone.
Please, save us all. Please.
Oh, it's over. My son. He is dead. 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 He is dead It's setting. It's dark. So dark. Was it all a lie? Have I done this all for nothing? Well, you saved me once again. Dear me, what can I say? I have failed you. My daughter risked life and limb just to find me. Heavens, I never asked her to do that.
Mother's ambitions were misguided, no doubt. But surely a
Dude, this is so freaking sad, man. The world of Dark Souls is so freaking sad. Oh my goodness. But at the same time, it's a beautiful world. Everyone lost something.
1,000 years of atonement is enough. Farewell, my mother, my sisters.
Please, sister, do not cry. I am happy, really. I have you. Don't I?
I beg of you, the spread of the abyss. It must be stopped.
The breaking of curses is the territory of deities. You must be prepared to give some of yourself.
Beyond the scale of light, beyond the reach of love, what could possibly await us? And yet we seek it insatiably. Such is our fate.
Wow.
Thank you very much for watching. We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like. That'll support us greatly as it will get the video to a wider audience. And
Look how easy that is. Hit the like button. Wow, guys. So these are the guys that narrated that Dark Souls lore video for us, man. Over 2 hours. Go check out these guys if you haven't already. The Brothers Code. They support their channel. They know what they're doing. They know what they're talking about. I mean, granted, this video was published 4 years ago, so they're obviously doing pretty well now, but still, show their channel some love. Wow. Okay. So, we, oh my goodness. We have learned some things about Dark Souls, and I'll probably be doing some more lore videos on Dark Souls 2, 3, Elden Ring as well. Bloodborne will be coming. Wow. Yeah, that was a lot to wrap my head around. Holy crap, I did make some notes and everything for my own self, and I'll probably watch some of the larger lore channel videos on Dark Souls and stuff on my own time. But wow, what I have learned from this lore video is that the world of Dark Souls is quite literally dark and depressing. The undertones, if you really read into it, wow, this world, it sucks. It's just like the people, the gods, they suck. Humanity kind of sucks. Like, everything kind of sucks. Gwyn really sucks. He's a turd ball. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this was a stream well overdue. I'm probably going to make a video on this. I'll just, upload this as a video so we can watch it as a video later or something, and, reach everybody who didn't get the stream or whatever. But wow, this was a lot of fun, and I got a lot of fun hanging out with you guys, hearing all your theories, hearing all your wisdom, because I still am but a noob in the understanding of these From Software games, but I truly love them. I believe that it is also a trilogy about overcoming odds, man, because Dark Souls, I gotta say, like, a lot of people quit out on these games, right? Like, somebody might play Dark Souls for the first time and they'll quit. But I think the brilliant thing about these games is the perseverance and the endurance you have to finish each obstacle that's placed before you. Maybe you don't get the right endings, maybe you don't get all the loot, maybe you don't do all the things, but oh my goodness, each challenge that you're met with this, it gives you an opportunity to persevere through it and let yourself know that you can overcome an odd, which is great, which is exactly what we should translate into real life. With our own challenges and our own obstacles. I think Miyazaki did a very good job of presenting us with these challenges in these games, and I think that's why I love From Software so much. They do such a good job of hitting you with these obstacles and these brick walls that you have to break down and break through in order to accomplish a goal. And I will continue to come back to these games and obviously Dark Souls 1 will be restarting with Dark Souls 1 when we decide to play it again and stream it or whatever we decide to do. I will be a cheater build, something I never thought that I would be. But I'll do it for you guys, because a lot of you guys want to see me jump around with magic and do all the magician things. But I hope you guys enjoyed this stream. It was long. Look forward to more of these. I would love to do more of these if you guys like seeing this type of thing. I want to learn and absorb the lore from the games that really shot my channel up. Okay, obviously we're a very small channel. We're encroaching on 20,000 subscribers, which is awesome. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. But these games will hold a very special, or Dark Souls 1 in particular, will hold a very special place in my heart because it is the game that really skyrocketed my channel about a year or so ago, almost 2 years now. And I'm just super thankful to From Software, Miyazaki, and yeah, it's a game I'm going to be returning to. So thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, whether it's morning, afternoon, and or evening, peace.